So we're good.
You're good.
Anyway, so with that in mind, they need on occasion they need chaperones because they have a Christmas ball and all these things, and you have to wear a tux at one of these things to learn how. And he's learning how to properly escort his escort to the and ask, would you like a refreshment and all this kind of stuff. And my wife's like, yeah, you do need to go. I say, you need to read this manual. If they won't let you in, you still need to read the manual. So I said, hey, Joseph, I could probably. And you ever seen that commercial? I think it's a T-Mobile. No, it's a Verizon commercial where it's the teacher and she's chaperoning like a 6th grade dance. And JJ Watt is there, right? And she's like a big football fan, and she's kind of like, ah. And all of a sudden, he comes up and he's kind of doing this, and she goes, JJ Watt? He goes, yeah, Ann, the game's on right now. She goes, I know, but this is my time to chaperone. And he's like, well, with Verizon, you can actually do both at the same time or whatever. So that's the shtick, right? Well, and she goes, and all of a sudden, one of the other teachers comes out, and it's like some, the school marmish looking guy. Okay, let's boogie. And she's like, oh, Judy, or something like that. And so Joseph said, you aren't chaperoning because that would be you, Dad. You're not allowed into anything on that. You would be embarrassing.
I did my job. My teacher right now is thinking, oh, no, Mom, no, you're not coming.
That is the truth. So, too fun. How's everybody doing? Good. Got some faces I haven't seen in a while. Some that are usual. Much better. I think 3 weeks ago is when our last one was. It was a torrential downpour, right? So we had to fight that, and some of us made it through that. Others didn't. So that's good. It's good to see the crew that's here. So a couple things we're going to do today. Here's the game plan. If you saw my email or the post, we're going to revisit. We're going to cover that chapter 6, which is really good stuff. But then we're going to revisit some of the information that there are just probably 3 or 4 things that Michael covers in the book. By the way, who's going to see Michael Tuesday? All right, you guys ready? I'm telling you guys, go. That's going to be awesome. All right, it's going to be really because he covers stuff in the live presentation that you don't see in the book. You know what I mean? He adds some stuff, and it's a good chance it's some live interaction too. You can kind of the stuff just rolls off of him. He lives it, and so it's going to be really cool to see. And again, don't forget to go ahead, make it a spa day. Go ahead of time. All right. I'm still challenging. Who is going to come in their robe with those little foam things between their toes? I want you to come to the seminar after getting a pedicure and in the little Safety Harbor robe. All right. We used to live in Safety Harbor, and I used to. You could actually join there and work out there at their gym, right? And so we'd go there, and it was kind of cool because it's a gym where you go, and it wasn't that expensive really in the whole scheme of things. But every time you go, you get a robe and all this kind of stuff just to go work out. So I just felt like I was, king of whatever. Like I said, growing up in the hood, we didn't have those, and those robes would have never made it back to where they're supposed to be. They would have made it back as well back then.
You mean you're not supposed to take those?
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Come on. Exactly. That's
well, there were gifts.
Yeah, exactly. They're in the room. Come on. Don't leave them there. That's funny.
I think my mother still has the old green Holiday Inn towel in her closet.
See? Exactly. I'll let you down. You think that's on their bill. We all pay for that, by the way. It's all sure.
There's signs now at the hotel, they'll charge you.
Absolutely.
If you'd like them, kindly purchase from our front desk.
Well, that's right. Or just even the $18 they want to charge you for the Fiji water that looks so good in there, right? Like, oh, let me open that up. Ah, did I open it?
Terrible.
Seal that thing back again. Damn, $18. What happened there? So, okay, I got to introduce you to Renata real quick. Renata is a new age one that you guys haven't met because you haven't been to a day session, right? You've been to the evening ones?
Evening in Oldsmar.
Right, in Oldsmar. Renata was Joseph, when our son Joseph, who's now 11, turning 12, was 1, right? Okay, 1 to 2. Renata came over from Poland and was our au pair. All right, and she came and lived with us for that year when Jeanette was working full time and so on and so forth. So Renata came over and did a phenomenal job, lived with us. Renata did a lot of work on our database back in the day. This is 10 years ago, right, when we were doing an email database and before we could buy a list of all the agents. So she was cut and pasting from the MLS, right, into our personal database so I can send out email blasts and all this kind of stuff. And it's so funny. I would get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and she's out there trudging her way, you know what I mean? And I remember the funny line was, hey, good morning. Come on in. I'd say, Renata, you go to sleep. Because I asked her, at one point, she did a few of them. I said, okay, I can pay you by the hour, or I can pay you by the name. All right, by the name that you put in. And she did a few, crank it out for about an hour. She goes, I'll choose by the name, because she's real efficient, right? So she's real smart. And then I got up like it's 2:30 in the morning. I said, go to bed. What are you doing? She said, Bob, there are CEOs in Poland who don't make this much money. Right? And so she would just crank along. Well, the funniest story is, okay, so this is like December, and we're getting ready because we're having Joseph's second birthday party. First child, right? Second birthday party. Petting zoo coming in, right? Everything we're planning for the big steal, right? Big, like every 2-year-old party, right? So we're bringing it all in, and so we're cleaning the house the day before, right? And Jeanette says, oh, look, there are a bunch of ashes in the fireplace. You need to clean. Oh, I said, I got a solution for that. I got a shop vac. And we just, so forgetting that the last time I used the shop vac, I used it to soak up water. And when you do that, you take out the filter, right? So I'm in there, right? We just got the house pretty much all clean. This is the last step, all right? So I reach in, fire this thing on, and all I said, I hear somebody yelling at me in Polish, all right? And I look behind, and every bit of ash is just being shooed throughout the whole house, all right? This is one, and I learned Polish words I'd never heard before. The foul-mouthed Polish words that were coming out of her mouth are hilarious, and to this day we always joke about that. That hey, because she taught me some Polish, right? And then she really taught me some Polish that day. So it took us only about another 2.5 to 3 hours, right, to clean up all that ash. Yeah. Literally, we think we're done, right? Oh, it looks good, and then we walk across in socks and look like, oh, we're not done. We have to exactly. It was a trash. So anyway, Renata will always hold me in some type of esteem, high or low, depending on how we look at it, based upon that. So, and now she's a real estate agent with Future Home Realty. So here she is. She's come full circle and doing all sorts of stuff. So that's great. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. We're going to cover that stuff. I want to go over a few things and really spend some time seeing if we can hammer down and answer some questions for you. Maybe help you overcome some hurdles that are keeping you from it. Joe, you and I had a real brief conversation beforehand, and it's like, hey, look, you know what? It's funny. When I focus, things happen. All right? And all of a sudden, when I don't focus, things don't happen, right? So how can we help you focus, right? That's the goal. It's how do we get, because we kind of pretty much know what to do. It's just now doing it, right? And how do we get disciplined enough to make sure that happens? And remember, one of our favorite phrases here is to know and not to do is not to know, right? So why know it if you're not going to do it? That kind of thing. So that's what we are. All right. So we always start with this slide. Remember back in the very beginning, we talked about all this panacea of having this great life, loving real estate, business just flowing in, not having to chase it. It's just dropping in our lap, and everything's just hunky-dory, and birds are singing, and you walk out, and every day is high 74 with no humidity, right? Okay, that's all right. Okay, that all sounds great, but how are we going to do that? Well, remember, what's that?
I said, when did we get to San Diego?
That's right, exactly. That is true. By the way, over the weekend, we did have our first overnight lows in the 30s up there, and it is. And the leaves are changing right now.
That's nice.
It is nice. It is just. I know you guys had last week and had a really good one, right? Didn't you?
2 days.
Yeah. That's right. It just reminds you that it's coming. And trust me,
We opened the door.
yeah, that's right. You open the door for a little bit, turn off the AC. Okay, now it's back on. All right.
It did get below my level. So,
It did get below your
yes.
level?
Yeah,
Oh,
my
geez.
comfort level,
Yeah.
it got to where, it was too cold.
Now, Jim grew up in Wisconsin, so he moved here. He said, hey, look, he said, you know what, you want to open up in Key West, I'm going.
Yes.
Right? Yeah,
I'll be the first one.
The furthest south. By the way, Jim is
I grew
now,
up about 2 hours from him, so I'll be right there.
you'll double. You second that motion.
Yep.
Understood. By the way, congratulate Jim. Jim is now Vice President of Operations for Future Home. We hit a big number. We just do our annual or quarterly audit whenever we do a quarterly, just make sure when you get as many agents, sometimes we can make sure, hey, look, are these people still with us or are they not with us? You know what I mean? We go through that, and we're just shy of 750 agents now.
Wow.
So, big deal, and that's, you know, and I get to go live in Tennessee and experience lows in the 30s and great changing seasons because I have Jim, right?
And he can have them.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, we all play to our strengths, right?
That's right.
Exactly, you know, he's playing his drums, and that's what we're doing.
Whatever allows me to stay here.
That's right. All right, so we're gonna study those who are doing it and have done it. We're gonna learn from others in the room, because you know what, there's so much knowledge just right here. There's just a wealth of knowledge right here that we can all just learn and say, hey, you know what, this was what's working for me, this is what's not working. And the cool thing is we create a culture that we're free to share, right? Because of the idea of who's gonna do business with Joe is not the same person who's gonna do business with Margaret, who's not the same person who's gonna do business with Renata anyway. It's not like, hey, I have to hide this stuff, right? Oh, you can't have that because that's my trade secret. All right, we're all just, you know what, this works, guys, go do it. And here's, I'm willing to share and do it. So that's what we're trying to create that culture. We're going to never focus on the income-producing activities. We're going to learn to hire out eventually the non-income-producing stuff. We're going to learn from our mistakes, which again implies what? That we're making them, right? Those who are doing nothing make no mistakes. All right? If I talk to you and say, are you making any mistakes? And the answer is no, then guess what? You're not doing anything. Okay, you're going to go out there and make it happen, right? Because that's how we learn, right? How do I get good at that, you know, that script of, you know, how's the market? Well, the market's the market. You know, it's kind of like the ocean, ebbs and flows. But how do you get it? You just do it, right? You do it enough times and you sputter over it and you laugh at yourself and you say, boy, I screwed down. I'm going to do that, you know, and then next time I'll get better and better and better. And you just learn as you go. Grow personally, right? We're all about that because we're going to stop chasing and start attracting business. And if we're going to attract business, we got to be attractive. And we're not just talking physically attractive, we're talking emotionally, spiritually, all that kind of stuff attractive. People want to be around, all right? You know, we all know people who we don't want to be around, so let's not be that, okay? All right, feed off the synergy in the room. We're going to live in accountability. That's huge, right? Because how do we get disciplined? How do I stay focused, Joe? Right? Having someone that's going to wrap your knuckles, all right, is sometimes, you know, there you go. Margaret's volunteering right now to do it. So living in accountability is huge. We're going to learn and live that disciplined life. There's freedom in structure. Remember that line that we love so much. That actually the more structured we are, the freer we become. It's oxymoronic, but it's true. Give me a quick example of this. I've lived on both ends of the spectrum financially. Okay, I've been broke and I've been not broke. And right now, not broke is much better. And not broke being much better is mostly because of the discipline that Jeanette, my wife, has brought to our lives. I'm naturally a high I, and it's only money, let's go remake some more, right? Okay, it's just kind of had been my philosophy. That's a lot of salespeople are that way, right? Just go do it. Where, hey, you know what? Since we started living the 70-20-10 principle, which is actually 10-20-70, you might say it backwards, because you give 10 first, you save or invest 20, and then you learn to live on the 70. All right, you start doing it that way. We've done it, and now we start to invest. Well, she's got me not only a future home, but us personally on a budget. You know, and the budget's fine, right? And it's good. And I've learned to. I hated the budget at first. All right, but I was doing everything I can, and she's fought me for 24 years, right? To get to the. But now I'm learning to love the budget because I get to see the results of it, and. Catch this. This is just a small example, but I think biblically there are a lot of verses out there that say when you're faithful in little, you'll be granted much, right? That you need to prove yourself in the small things, and therefore you'll be given more responsibility in the larger things, and that applies to money as well, right? Well, there were some real odd bills that came in. I mean, odd, just like fluky kind of things that popped up out of nowhere that were not in our budget. All right, so my first inclination is, hey, you know what, we'll just not put as much of the 20% in this month. All right, and we'll just, no. And so Jeanette reined me back in, right? Said, no, it's 10, 20, 70. We're going to learn to live on 70. And I'm saying it wasn't a huge amount. It was like $630 of total stuff, right? So it's not, but enough to say, hey, look, you know, we wouldn't normally have it if we want to, you know, do what we normally want to do. So let's just not give that 630. Part of that, you know, that 20% into savings this time or investments. She goes, no, we're not going to do it. I'm going to tighten on the 70, right? Okay, and that's hard for me, hard for her too, but she's disciplined enough to do it, right? So as we do it, and the irony is, we did it, it was like 2.5 weeks, it wasn't that painful, by the way, all right? I acted like it was like killing me, right? It's not killing me, I ate just fine, all right? Everything was, wasn't starving to death, everything was good. But ironically, you know what? Last Saturday, I went to the mailbox, and I told you we went and rented a house for a week, over the summer, and we got a security deposit back, and I forgot that I even paid, right? Okay, it was like $700, and then like another one came in, it was like $230 on our insurance refund or something on a house we had sold, or something popped up, and stuff popped in it. But now, would that have stuff have come in? Probably, but who knows? Maybe the checks get lost in the mail, right? If I wasn't, I think truly that if you're disciplined in the small, then you prove yourself, and then you'll be allowed to be disciplined in the big. You know what I mean? Or you'll give more opportunity in the larger. And so it's just a small example. If we started to do that, not only with our finances, but with our time and with all of our resources that we have at our disposal, that if we can learn to live that way, and it's hard. I'm hearing you. All right, trust me when I say it's hard. All right, let's bring Jeanette in via Skype. She'll tell you, yeah, it's hard for Bob. All right, okay, it's but I've got a good accountability partner in her that holds me to it, and I love seeing the results of it at the end. Okay, yeah.
I want to tag them.
Yeah.
Just saying, I'm a single parent to a 15-year-old that's high I.
Okay.
And her dad makes promises that I'm supposed to fulfill. So she had a meltdown this week because I wasn't fulfilling his promise. And she and I had this conversation. She had the opportunity to melt down. Yesterday was my time block with her.
Right.
And she and I were sitting in Taco Bell, which is not the healthiest place to be, but it's our time.
That's right.
There's this guy sitting there talking to a guy next to him. He was talking about things, guns and stuff up in Dade City. Had a conversation, said, so what are you doing up at blah, blah, blah? And he's got a property to sell because I was in her time. I apologized for having it. She goes, that's okay, Mom, we were having our time. She saw the value of, I'm there with her. We were on her shopping trip for the day. She got her boots. She went to the bank with a bag of change. She tells me it's $78 in change, Mom, but I put 20 in savings. I didn't even have to tell her.
That's awesome.
So it does get there.
They hear it, and if you live it, what you do speaks so loudly that they can't hear what you say, right? Yeah, and I borrowed that from my kid, but my wife says it to me all the time. They're applying to me, all right? That what you do, Bob, speaks so loudly, I don't care what you are telling me, yeah, whatever. But living it out is way more important. That's awesome. That is so cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's a teenager, that's rare to.
It is. It's very rare. It's rare for people, by the way. Okay, teenagers.
And this generation.
Exactly.
She's my baby, and it's just, I don't know, maybe it's because it's my baby, but I have my whole emotional moment about it. But.
No,
And
that's
then my
great.
other son calls me and talks to me for 90 minutes last night. He never calls me that long.
I'm telling you. Good things happen. I'm just telling you, you start to live life. All right, I'm a firm believer. That's why it's so much more than just, hey, look, let's just learn how to go sell real estate. Right? It's let's learn how to live life, and then real estate is what we do. All right, so that happens. All right, but if we live life right things happen. Fair enough that we go. It's funny you mentioned that. You remind me. Jeanette was out of town over the weekend, and so I had the boys, and Joseph, my 11-year-old, got his. I could tell Joseph is very much like Jeanette, and thank God, right? Exactly, we're all happy for that. But catch this, he gets his bank statement, and we have some money in the bank, grades and all that kind of stuff. So he puts his money away, and he comes to me, and I hand him this thing. I didn't even look at it, and so he comes, 52 cents, and I said, what? And he said, I got $800 in the bank, and they give me 52 cents of interest. He goes, just a minute. He comes back, and I can tell he's been talking to his mom. So he has a 9-piece grid that says low LMH and LMH. He says, this is what I'm doing with it. I'm talking to Mom when we get home, and I'm going to put X amount of dollars in low risk, low return. All right, low risk, low return. I'm going to put X amount of dollars in high risk, high return. And he has all his grids. I said, where'd you? I'm like, we're taking notes. I'm like, that's awesome, dude. that's a great path. So he's got it all bad. He's got 16% going here, and so he's ready to invest in it because he just takes it all, and they do get it. It's awesome to live that way. So thank you for sharing. So learn to love that freedom. It's hard for me, at least. And some of you are, and maybe it's freedom or structure comes naturally to you. All right, but for me, it doesn't. all right? I'm just kind of live and let live kind of guy by nature, and my affirmations say I'm not though, all right? I'm a structured, disciplined person, okay, is what I tell myself every morning. I just gotta now do what so loudly that I can't hear what I say, all right? All right, consistently evaluate progress. Remember, we're gonna do that often. I think we're gonna talk about the 4 rituals again, and that Sunday night ritual is a great time to consistently evaluate our progress. Good time to check on last week. Hey, what did I do? I wanted to have so many meetings. I wanted to have so many conversations with people, real estate. And guess what? I could be at Taco Bell and all of a sudden a real estate conversation pops up.
Counts up.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. All right. Counts as a one-on-one because at the end of the day, the goal is to leave with an action item, right? Something we're going to do for them. Remember, because the generosity cycle starts with generosity first. Okay, it's all out of whack. It doesn't happen. If you started with the referral first, hey, I want your referral, then I'll be generous. Doesn't work. I'm generous first, then the referrals come. All right, reciprocity comes. You know, it's funny, knowing that I am going to share and teach, I was mowing the lawn the other day, and I was looking at my neighbor Bill. Got across the street, got Bill and I got Robert. All right, Bill is like the neighbor you love. Right? Retired guy, wears a John Deere hat with a mesh in the back, you know what I'm talking about? Worked for an asphalt company in sales for like 48 years, got the gold watch, just his house is, pristine, grows the best tomatoes in all of Tennessee, just shares them with everybody, has every tool you'd ever want to borrow as a name, that kind of guy, right? Knows that, hey Bill, I got some crabgrass in here, how do you get rid of the mold? All that kind of stuff. He's just that kind of guy. Well, we got kind of long driveways, and at the end of our driveways, everybody has, around the mailboxes, kind of quarter circles of some type of flower bed, all right? It's just kind of the entryway. Well, I was thinking, I said, you know what? I've got Bill, and 2 doors down from him, I've got Robert. Robert's a great guy as well, but Robert, here's Bill's plus. I watched him 2 times last week go down, and his flower bed always looks great. And I said, you know what? And I watched him. He went and picked up his mail. And I was in my office, and I saw him. I watched, and he spent, and I looked at my watch, 24 seconds. And he picked out 3 weeds because he was checking his mail. All right, just looked around, picked out 3 weeds with his hands. Right, just used his little pinchers. All right, picked out 3 weeds, and he was gone. Okay, done. Robert, 9 months ago, spent 3 days clearing out his whole little flower bed thing, all right, because it had gotten to be messy, real messy, all right? Well, guess what? Last week, Robert spent another 3 days because he hadn't touched his flower bed in 9 months, all right? Bill gets to pick with his hands, his fingers, pick out his weeds. Robert has to practically bring in a backhoe because the weeds now have roots this big, right, because he didn't touch them. Bill did it once, and now in 24 seconds, takes care of it. I watched him the next day. He came down, looked around. There was no weeds to pick, so he just went on. I said, boy, what a teaching moment that is for me. I want to live my life like Bill, right? I want to just take a look, say, hey, look, am I on track here? Am I good? If there's not, I can make a few small adjustments with my fingers, as opposed to dreading having to do it 9 months from now with a backhoe. All right, or get major equipment in there to do it. So in the future, when you say, hey, you're gonna live your life like Bill or live it like Robert, all right, we're gonna choose Bill, and you'll know what I mean. Okay, all right, we're just gonna learn to do that. So the more often we do it, weeding once a day for 24 seconds is a lot better way to live than weeding every 9 months for 3 days. Okay, try and get to that. It's just a powerful. What's that?
Doing the dishes.
Yeah, right, same thing, right? Exactly. It just seems, that things just stay better. It's just easier to get things done when you stay on top of them, right? You stay on top. Cool? So we can consistently evaluate progress. Finish the bridges. Remember, we're going to not just get allured by, the next best thing, and let's go to this, let's go to that, let's do this. Hey, let's stick with it. You know what? We're going to choose it. Let's do it. We get it done. Learn to develop and play to our strengths, which means we get to watch Marcus Buckingham again, all right? So this is session 5, all right, lesson number 5. The guy is getting close. Remember last time, if you weren't here, he found a response. Somebody responded to his trombone player wanted, all right? So he's got a girl that says, hey, I love the trombone, and now he's got to work the guy. Is his music teacher? Kind of tough, isn't he? hey, give it up, guy. I mean, the guy's just like kind of a sourpuss. He needs to come hang out with us a little bit and learn how to live a little bit. So let me get this fired up so we can see it. But he's getting closer to, and he's persistent, by the way. You got to feel for that little guy, don't you? And he is not going to give up. He wants to play the drums, and he's going to learn to play it no matter what. So, all right.
Teacher must have been the same one my daughter had, my son has for first, my grandson has for first grade. He got in trouble for skipping back from the foot bikes up to time to go sit down. He stood in his truck, they said he got in trouble for skipping.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
So I
That's
said,
live life.
I asked him, I said, what did you, he got home, I just let it go. I said, good.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
He says, he's so mean, Mom. I said, yeah, no.
Kids have that ability sometimes. They can be. You hear okay?
You know, probably the greatest thinker about teams in the last century is a chap called Peter Drucker. You may have heard of him. He basically said that whatever team you're on, all teams, whether at home, at work, at play, all teams fall into one of three categories. It's either a solo performance team where each person's part of the team, but they come up to bat, as it were, all by themselves, like a baseball team or a cricket team. Then there's the highly choreographed team where everybody plays together and functions together, but only because each person has a very, very preset role. And the team works because each person sticks in that role, but like an orchestra. And last, there's the highly improvised team. Here, each person is assigned a preset role, but then they're expected to improvise like crazy along the way according to the needs of the moment or the circumstance. Now, I don't know what of those three, which one you're on, which kind of team you're on, but trust me, you are part of a team. And that means that your success depends upon the contributions of other people, and that their success depends upon what you contribute to them. And that means that you're going to have a lot of conversations with people about what your strengths are, about which activities strengthen you, about where each person can rely on you the most. Now that sounds kind of obvious, doesn't it? But gosh, it's just amazing how few of those strong conversations actually happen at work. In fact, in a recent poll I did, I asked people, when you and your manager and your teammates discuss your performance reviews, what do you spend most time talking about? 40% of people said we talk about my weaknesses. 35% said we just don't talk about that stuff at all. And only 25% said we talk about my strengths. Now, why? Why is that so hard? Maybe it's because you don't know what your strengths are. Or maybe it's because you just don't have the opportunity to talk about it. Just in a regular working day, it just doesn't come up. Or maybe it's because you don't want to come across like a braggart, someone who's just so high on herself, she has to prance around telling everyone how brilliant she is. That's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, think about the last time you talked to someone about your strengths and it didn't feel like you were bragging. Or the last time you talked to someone about your weaknesses and it didn't feel like you were whining. It's odd that, isn't it? And flip that around. If you find yourself on the receiving end of that conversation and someone comes up to you and talks to you about their strengths, you're not quite sure what to do, are you? I mean, it's like you want to go up to your boss and say, well, I'm strong at this, or this activity strengthens me, and the chances are your boss is going to look back at you with a shut up and go back to the soul mines kind of expression. But whatever the reason, remember this, a team functions best when each player knows what they can rely on the other people for. And given that, you owe it to your teammates to tell them what your strengths are. You owe it to tell them which activities strengthen you. You owe it to tell them where they can rely on you the most and where your shoulders are broadest. If it's going to feel a little weird at the start when you do it, and it probably will, then don't worry. Practice. Do it often. Practice a lot. I mean, you've got to tell them in detail, vividly, what it is that strengthens you. If you like having a million things going on at once, then tell them. If you like functioning under really tight timelines, you're at your best under that pressure, then tell them. If you love the challenge of winning over strangers and getting them to like you, then tell them. If you're one of those people that makes long lists every day just so you can cross things off them, then tell them. Or if you just love competing against someone else and pitting yourself against a peer on a level playing field and winning, and you love that, then tell them. Not to brag about it, not to claim that you're better than anyone else in it on the team, but so that they can know where they can rely on you. I mean, your team needs to know where they can expect to see the best of you, where your shoulders are going to be broadest, and of course, your strengths are the answer. So go have a strong conversation with someone. Pick someone out. Pick someone that you trust, someone who you know cares about you, someone who you're safe with. Pick someone like that, and then go tell them which activities strengthen you. Tell them where they can rely on you the most. And when you're doing it, by all means, ask for help. And I don't mean help as in, help, I'm really busy, just can you take some of the stuff off my plate? I mean, you can ask that if you want. But I mean help as in, hey, look, here are some activities that really drain me, that really frustrate me, that weaken me. And when these activities come around, I'm going to need a lot of help from you. Now, it's such a shame how few of these I need some help conversations happen at work. I suppose it's because we're not supposed to have weaknesses at work, right? We're supposed to be this sort of perfectly well-rounded person who comes into work with no weaknesses at all. I mean, why ask for help in an area of weakness when conventional wisdom tells you that if you just worked in it, you could turn a weakness into a strength? Well, you now know you can't turn a weakness into a strength. You now know, I think, your weaknesses, those activities that weaken you, are going to be around in some form or other for, well, probably your entire life. So you can't turn them into strengths, but you can manage around them. And of course, the best way to do that is to ask someone to help you. Who knows, maybe this person is strengthened by the very thing that weakens you. Or maybe just by sharing what weakens you, this person will know when you're going to be struggling a little bit, when they're going to need to be just a wee bit more patient with you, or when you might be just a bit down and you might appreciate a bit of a joke and a bit of a laugh to perk you back up. And of course, by sharing that way with them, by being a little bit vulnerable with them, you free them up to be able to share with you where they might need some help from you. But whatever the form of this help and whatever the form of this sharing, whatever place this conversation happens in, remember this, there's one level of power in your awareness of your strengths and weaknesses. There's still another level of power in their awareness of your awareness, and even more power in your awareness of their awareness of your awareness. Got that? And if you're a manager, if you manage people, well, you of all people should be having lots of these strong conversations. Sit down and ask each of your people, hey, where should I expect the best of you? Where should I lean most heavily on you? Where am I going to see you at your very best? And then flip it around. I mean, where am I going to have to tread lightly with you? What are the activities I'm going to help sort of veer you away from? And when you, by the way, when you have those conversations, your primary role is not as the manager to go, yes, you're right, these are strengths, and no, you're wrong, these are weaknesses, or whatever. Your role isn't to bless these strengths and weaknesses and confirm that they're true, because the person knows what strengthens them or what weakens them way better than you do. Your role is to listen to the person, to affirm what they're saying, and then hopefully offer action suggestions as to how to do more of their strengths and less of their weaknesses. And if you do that, I'm not suggesting that every single time you'll be able to immediately say, hey, look, here's what we're going to do to veer away from your weaknesses. I'm not suggesting you're going to be able to do that, because, you know, sometimes you're just going to have to say to the person, look, I'm sorry, not right now, you're just going to have to suck it up and do it. But you probably should have a long-term plan as to how to move this person toward their strengths and away from their weaknesses. I mean, in the end, that's what great management's all about, isn't it? Have you ever noticed that when you go into a really great restaurant or a hotel or a department, it just feels different? You can't quite pick up on why, but somehow in a blink of an eye, your subconscious tells you that there's something different about this place. Do you notice that? Well, I've dug into thousands of great workplaces like that, and when you really get down into it, what's happening in these workplaces is that the people at work here are having lots of these strong conversations. They've identified their own strengths and weaknesses, but then they've taken it to another level. They've had conversations with others about these strengths and weaknesses. They've talked about where you can expect the best of me and where I'm probably going to need a bit of support. They've reached a level of trust with one another, a place where they don't feel they have to protect themselves quite so much, where they don't feel like that they have to pretend that they're all things to all people, that they're somehow perfect, that they're good at everything. A place where they feel challenged to volunteer the best of themselves, and where they know exactly where they can expect to see the best of somebody else. And the wonderful thing is when you reach that place, your whole physiology changes. You sort of sit up straighter and you push your chest out and you straighten your shoulders and you breathe more easily and you lose the hunch of the back and the furrow of the brow. And we, your customers, your teammates, we pick up on this. I mean, this is what our subconscious is registering when we walk into your department or your hotel or your restaurant. This is what draws us in and what draws us back time and time again. So if you want to create this in your department, if you want to build this on your team, then go lead by example. Go tell someone where you have most to give. Go tell someone where you need their support. Go volunteer the best of you, and then go ask for support and help where you need it. Go make someone else aware of what you're aware of. Go on. Go share your strengths.
I was at the end, but he's like, I'm fighting a losing battle here, right? You're tagging up on me now. That's it. He said, you just overcome any excuses, right? Okay, he said, oh, we got a trombone player. I told you. How many times have I told you? Well, guess what? I just solved your problem. I just got one. Now what do I do? But he had to bring everybody in together. You know, there's so many cool things in that session that I was reminded of. And, you know, the hard part about that, you know, if we were showing this at a, like a more of a typical office structure where, you know, you have a manager and you're managing a team and all that kind of stuff, you can see the, you know, hey, here's how I can start to place the people under my charge, you know, where they need to be in their strengths and so on and so forth. But a couple things that I think are here is, A, we can learn to, hey, what makes us strong, and let's focus on those things for us personally and maybe outsource or find some other things to do that. The other thing is what about the concept of, you know, Michael teaches in the book that the best ambassadors to have are business owners, because the people that are going to reciprocate the best are people who understand that concept. And usually entrepreneurs understand, hey, look, I scratch yours, you scratch mine. You know, that they're goal oriented. So when you start talking about goals, they get it. You talk to goals about an employee, they're like, you know, my goal is to make it to work this week or whatever. You know what I mean? And so that's fine. You know, when they're out there, that's good. But we maybe need to, you know, if we're really going to start, you know, networking with really, you know, cool people, entrepreneurs are a good place to start, right? And then what if you turn them on? What if they had a business where this really could apply? What if you say, hey, you know what? That's a value add, right? We throw some massive value to you. How about, hey, you know what you should do? I got turned on to this guy, Marcus Buckingham. Just Google him. You can probably find a video online. Check it out, and they'll come back to you. Hey, thanks for sharing. That's really neat. I never thought of, you know, interviewing my people. I'm just telling, hey, we need this done, and you need to do it because we need to be well-rounded. But the whole concept is kind of mind-blowing, right? Kind of blows up our paradigms a little bit to say, hey, why don't you do what you do really well, and you do what you do really well, and together we get it all done, and you can start to help them. Once you start getting the idea that it's a cool thing to bring somebody to go see Michael Mayer, that's your insurance guy, that your CPA, your attorney, whatever, your friend who's starting their own florist shop, you bring them and say, hey, look, I'm going to give you massive value because I'm going to help you build your business. Boy, remember the generosity cycle. Generosity leads to reciprocity, which leads to referrals, which leads to profitability, which eventually, if you invested correctly and live 7-20-10 in discipline, all right, will lead to prosperity. And that prosperity allows you to be even more generous, which starts the cycle all over again. It's really cool, but it starts with the generosity, right? It's not, hey, give me your referral. It's no, hey, let me help you with your business. Deanne Nelson, Deanne sometimes comes to this one, and she also goes to the night session. She's been out and about right now. She's the one who did her affirmations. She wrote them down for 30 days, all right, and actually didn't just say them, but she wrote them down. Well, I'm telling you, go ask her, if you run into Deanne, ask her affirmations. She rattled them off the other night for us. I mean, and just, she believes them.
Corey started posting this morning.
Yeah, I saw that Corey wrote, started posting. Corey actually is being, he signed up, he bit the bullet. I encouraged him to, and he's doing one-on-one coaching with one of Michael's guys, Tom Kane, who's a really good guy. You get a chance to meet Tom. like Corey bit the bullet to sign up that one-on-one, so that's probably one of his, he had to do it. He had to make sure, so then when we talk to Tom, hey, Tom, Corey's, Tom follows our page as well, exactly, to do it. But that being said, it's powerful. The other thing Deanne's doing is she's made a personal mission to help a bunch of people expand their own businesses, right? She's looking for entrepreneurs and how can I help? And so she's running across these people, and it's really cool because I haven't seen the results yet. Remember, it's in Orange Grove, all right? She put the sapling in the ground. She's nurturing it a little bit. I guarantee when these businesses begin to flourish and they have things happening, they are going to remember Deanne. Period. That's not why we do it, all right? But it's a really cool benefit of doing it, all right? Because that's the way we roll. So, really good stuff. So
there's another book that feeds into some
Yes.
of that conversation about identifying your strength and having some of those conversations called Fierce Conversations.
Fierce?
Fierce Conversations. Anybody read that already?
No, now I'm going to write it down.
Great book.
That's another one that has to
Okay.
Great
Yeah.
book.
Fierce Conversations. Do you know who it's by chance?
No, I'd have to do
That's
it
perfect.
again.
That's right. You can find it. It's an amazing thing nowadays.
Google it.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
that's about how do you identify who you need to be having those conversations with,
Awesome.
and how do you actually have that conversation. And it's conversation that you might in normal society, you'd set that conversation aside and not go there. You need to go there.
Awesome.
You need to go there about your own business. You need to go there with the people who you're in business with,
Perfect.
and with your kids, with anybody else too.
Awesome. Fierce Conversations. Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Margaret.
I, for 20-something years, lived out in Northern California around the tech industry.
Yeah.
And Google, Facebook, all those, very different than the corporate America that grew up.
Sure.
I used to work in television video, do the behind the scenes and stuff like that. Those companies, much more, the old school is like, we need cubicles, everybody's got their, this is, that's not in my. They sit around on couches on beanbags, playing ping pong, talking about stuff and collaborating, really collaborating. And it's not so much a competition as, well, wait a second, you said that.
Yeah.
What if we tried this? And it really is, that's one of the reasons why there's so many great companies and just think tanks out there.
Right.
Those C standing for, they do that.
That's awesome.
Safety.
And they just flow out of it. And it's funny. Go watch it's very funny. I love Vince Vaughn.
Susan
What's
Scott.
it called?
I think so.
The interns. What was it? Is it Vince Vaughn? That's right. That's what they're interns at Google.
Google.
All right. Yeah. It's hilarious. I love, that's an interesting study on sales too, because Vince Vaughn is the sales guy, right? He can sell anything to anybody. You know what I mean? It's a.
You want me to show some props on
That's right.
Is there? Let me ask. Is there one answer that I can give him that is kind of not right, not wrong, but then I can shove some product on it?
Right, when he's going to be on the helpline, right? Just give me a blanket answer, and I'll shove some product down their throat.
And the other thing about these people is then they'll go to lunch. You can go to someplace at lunch in Silicon Valley and you'll hear these groups doing the same thing.
Yep.
They're just eating going, well, wait a second. It's kind of like this. And they start playing with their silverware. It's awesome.
It is.
There's
Go ahead.
formal corporate structure though, because the traditional way of doing business is known now as waterfall, but the new way of doing business is known as agile, where you're taking groups of people in industry. So there's people that that are working within this agile environment in their workplace already. So what you're doing there is taking people and saying, okay, so your team does this and your team does this, not where teams are doing different things, but on a regular basis, and it's like every 2 weeks you're getting together all of the different teams and identifying exactly who's going to be doing what piece of work, how long it's going to take, what's going to stop your team from accomplishing what it is you need to accomplish. And it's totally free to be saying, well, actually, if that team's doing that, then they've got to get that done by this date, or our team will never meet the goal, and we're at a 1 out of 10 for achieving it.
Right.
Okay, good, let's figure that part out. So we've got people around us already who are working in those environments, and if we aren't familiar with how they're doing that at work, and we're showing up as agents and we're totally in a different top-down kind of structure, then they're going to see that disparity too in where we're at.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is so true. Because just having the knowledge of how they are interacting at work, right? And not going with our assumption of what their paradigm is. That's pretty cool.
So from in that model, it would not be about us going in and saying, oh, I'm here to be the real estate expert for you. I'm going to solve all your problems and sell your house. It's like, we're in business together.
Yep.
How do we do it
Well,
together?
Let's team up to get this done.
Yes.
How do we do that? You know, and as a conversation that they're maybe if they're in a newer developed type industry or one that's kind of hip that gets it, that hey, yeah, that makes sense. That's what we do at work, right? Yeah, that's
I was gonna say, speaking of that, I'm doing a home buying seminar with a finance guy that I know and an insurance guy from downtown Safety Harbor.
right.
As a matter of fact, at Safety Harbor Library, because we all kind of want to give out these ideas and we're finding where people are confused. So
Yeah.
we're gonna start like a monthly just home buying information meeting.
There you go.
And just here, it's trying to make this process simple, but it's talking to them, the finance guy, and the insurance guy, and finding out, well, what are you coming across? Well, what are you coming across? Because when I hand off my client to you, the insurance person, what are they coming to you with? Because
Right. And what's your hurdle and what, how can we collaborate together?
Right.
Like Margaret just said, hey, I can't achieve my goal of getting this closed in 6 weeks if this. Well, I can't do that if not. So we got to communicate. Can you imagine if our government did this? Right? If we all just got together and said, hey, look, I'm Homeland Security and I can't do this if the CIA isn't doing this, and we actually communicated and say, hey guys, instead of us being adversaries, let's work together and get this done, right? Let's figure out how to solve this problem. I mean, we stinking put people on the moon. All right, I think we could figure out some of these issues if we would just do it. I love the scene in Apollo 13. Do you remember the part when and he comes in with his box, he boxes stuff and dumps it on the table? And it's like duct tape and a vent hose and stuff like that. He says, okay, this is what we got to work with up there. We need to figure out how to purify the air so that the lunar capsule will make it back down here. So and they had, and by the way, we got 6 hours still. I mean, you talk about energy in the room. Let's figure this out. We can do that, right? If we just collaborate and communicate. If it's not, hey, that's not my job, or that's not my department, or that's their problem, not my problem. You know what I mean? Everybody working together.
or I'm gonna hide the duct tape.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Sorry. You know what?
It's my duct tape.
That's right. That's our department. That was under our budget,
Yeah.
constraint thing or whatever. Yeah. So really cool. Great feedback there. That's awesome and it's so true. You start to think through this. All right. And by the way, reading books like Fierce, right, and educating yourself, boy, that makes you so much more attractive. Because you can actually have intellectual dialogue with your clients, with people, and you have a value to add to them. Hey, you know what? Something you might want to try at work is this. You know what I mean? You're not just, hey, let me shove a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage down your throat. Okay, there's more to life than that, right? Let's just, let's talk about it.
Aren't we practicing that right now?
Yeah. What's that? Absolutely. That's what we're doing around that. Exactly.
That's what you said up at the beginning of the meeting.
Right.
You said,
We learn from other people in the room. Exactly. That's exactly.
thanks a lot for tricking us into that whole conversation.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's why I was my own goal. All right, and buckle my shoes there. Exactly. All right, so I'm going to start with this one. So we're good. Learn to play to our strengths. Okay, real quickly, bank owned open houses. They are working for some of our people. I'm telling you, I've got agents that are 5 weeks into the business, have 8 buyers right now that they didn't have 5 weeks ago. All right, it's awesome to see what they're doing. They're getting excited about it. Let's just take a second and talk safety right now, because of the issues that have happened recently. They're sitting in pairs. I encourage you to sit open houses in pairs. At the very least, have somebody know exactly where you are, where you're going to be. When you go to the open house, don't park in the driveway. Give yourself an escape route. Park in the street so you have ways to do it.
Never park in the driveway.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. And
I say take a picture of your person, and I've told my kids to do this.
Yep.
When they're in a situation,
Sure.
you take a picture and you send it to 2 people at least. This
Yep.
is who I'm with, and you tell them.
Yep.
I mean, you
This is
tell
why I'm doing
them
this. Right.
You are a much, lesser target
Yeah.
when you've just sent that face out,
Yep.
so they don't know who.
Exactly. November 4th, there's a training session here. All right, that Pro's putting on. It's free to all members of all boards. Okay. 3 credit, continuing ed credits. Highly encourage you to come. All right, number 1. Number 2, in the meantime, here's some things that we're suggesting to our agents. we say meet them at the office. Our offices are a little unique because you can meet them at the office and be just as vulnerable. There might not be anybody there, all right? Because our offices, you know what I mean? We just got people coming and going, but they're not manned, so you may be even more vulnerable at the office. So I say a public place, all right? So, hey, you know what? We haven't met before. My broker has a policy. You can use me as an excuse. My broker has he's a pain in the backside. He's got this policy. We have to meet in some type of public place, and I'm going to snap a picture of your ID. All right, and I'm going to email it or text it to the office, which you can just do it to your buddy, right? And you let them know I'm going to be with this person for the next 2 hours at these 4 locations, all right? And I mean, it seems anal, but I really, you know what? Here's the thing: if somebody has ill intentions, all right, exactly. First, when you say meet me at Starbucks, they're not going to show up.
Right.
If they did show up and you said, oh, by the way, I need to see your ID, he's going to say, oh, I forgot it in my car, and he's going to go. All right? They're going to go to the path of least resistance. My house right now, all right, when I leave, when I'm there, it's lit up like a beacon in the night. All right? Shame on my neighbors, but I want them to choose my neighbor's house, not mine. My neighbor's house is a lot darker. They're going to choose the darker house to go break into as opposed to when it's all lit up. Same thing with the gophers, right? My goal is not to necessarily kill the gopher, but to get rid of them out of my yard. If they go to my neighbor's, that's his problem, all right? So, and just move them on and get them out of there. So, you want them to go to choose somebody else, all right? I mean, because especially right now, there are going to be copycats. Hey, there are guys, hey, I never thought of that. That's a good idea, all right? And that's, and that's what happens. Be ever vigilant, ever vigilant. And the last thing is pairs, all right? Make the ID. If they went through all that, leave yourself an escape route. And the final thing, if you get and something doesn't feel right, go. Do not.
Just don't make yourself vulnerable.
Exactly.
It's really simple.
Right.
Well, it is, but it's not. Sometimes
It
you
is,
don't
it
know you're vulnerable.
True.
And be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, the bad guy's whole thing is to fool you into it and everything.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, hey, look, they might give you a fake ID and all this. They can start doing. Now, if they go to that extent, so you always got to be very, aware. Anyway, and I agree.
And there are crazies out there that will give you a legitimate ID. Yeah. But a lot of us don't trust that hair in the back. Oh, I've got to make this sale. No, get out.
Yep.
Get out. It's not worth it.
Listen to that intuition. All right. Yeah. And get, if it doesn't feel right, get out. I'd rather you offend somebody than and like I told our agents, if they're offended by it, give them my number. All right. And just say, hey, it's my broker's policy, and you can talk to him if you want it. Because sometimes, here's our fear. Well, they say, you don't want to show me property because I have brown eyes. All right, so you're racist against brown-eyed people, all right, or whatever, you know what I mean? And so, no, this is a policy. We do this for everybody. Blonde hair, blue-eyed, brown hair, black-eyed, whatever. Our policy is we take a picture of people we don't know and doing it. You know what I mean? Just the way we roll. Fair enough?
And if they're forthcoming, they'd understand that.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's funny. Jeanette and I, we once a month we substitute at our church in the nursery wherever they need us, right? And so we pretty large church, so they have a pretty elaborate system where the kids get a tag and there's a number on that tag, and the parents get that same number. And when they come to pick them up, they have to match. Okay, absolutely. It's like Chuck E. Cheese, right? Get the hand stamp on, right? Exactly. It's all that. It's all. Well, speaking of which, how's the grandbaby?
Oh, doing great.
Awesome. I'm sure you got a ton of pictures. Yeah, I bet you do. All right, first grandchild. So when this one lady shows up, she goes, "Oh, my husband has the tags. It's sorry, it's our policy that he's already out of the car though." I said, "Well, this is ridiculous." I said, "Well, quite frankly, you know what? The more you say it's ridiculous, the more I'm going to protect your child."
Right.
Now you're raising my, that's no big deal. I've done it before where my wife had the tag and we had to go get her to get it. I was appreciative of the fact that they wouldn't release it. You know what I mean? Yeah. The fact that you're arguing about it makes me doubt you even more, quite frankly. She mumbled something that she probably should have said in church. In English, not even Polish. We're not. I can understand this one. See, exactly. It said something, y'all. All right, it ended y'all. But it was, and so she finally got it, and she huffed away, and the husband came back and said, "Hey, I appreciate it. I get it, because, right nowadays, it might be the estranged spouse wanting to get the child and had no rights to the child, and this is his visitation weekend, and who knows, right? And so I'm glad they have those systems in play. That being said, if somebody gets all huffy with you,
their
that's
problem.
another sign that it's probably time to get out. Fair enough? Okay, and this, ladies and men,
Besides,
What's that?
If they're gonna be like that, do you really wanna work?
Right.
Yeah, right, exactly, you're right. If they're not gonna understand that, right, exactly, so
There's
that's good.
a like retired homicide detective in Sarasota that developed an app which doesn't save people from making bad decisions.
Right,
So I'm not necessarily even promoting it. I'm just letting you know that it's out there called Agent Armour.
Agent
And he's
Armour.
Agent Armour. He's now in the real estate business as well and developed this app. He promotes it at some of the big conferences where there's like a $49 a year fee for it, but what it does, from what I remember, I don't use it, so I can't say that I'm using it yet. But you like get the photo of the driver's license, it uploads to a main database
Perfect.
linked to you, it tracks your GPS coordinates, you speak into it what property address you're arriving at, and there's a call 911 button that would automatically send your coordinates to the police with the other information that you've already uploaded and to anybody else in your family if you needed it to. I mean, again, it's just there's lots of apps out there, there's lots of different options, but something might be better than nothing.
Right, and again, if they see you using that, all right, hey, look, I'm gonna choose a more vulnerable target than this person.
It's actually free.
It's
Is
free?
it free? I
What
think
was it
maybe
called?
it's for,
What's it called? Agent Armour.
I think it might be a trial is free.
We'll check.
Yeah.
Double check the 911.
Very good, awesome.
We're
Check it out.
installing, I want to see if
Barbara.
Can I show you something?
Yeah, sure. Are you gonna hurt me?
Maybe.
Okay. She can kill me with her pinky, I can tell.
My partner, Paul,
Yeah.
teaches self-defense classes.
Right.
And he's been teaching me things that you can do that are really simple, quick, easy things to get away. Grab me by the
Ouch.
wrist. Run.
Okay. That's awesome. You know what? You
Now-
gotta move again. Exactly what I wanted. I grab you by the wrist. There. It's impossible for me. That move right there, it's impossible for me, and my head goes down.
And I am small.
Yeah, my nose is broken right now. Well, seriously, because her knee is stronger than my nose. Trust me, right?
Yeah.
With that low wrist, that's right. And it was the twist, and it didn't take a lot of torque, but it took me in a position that I can't do anything with.
Yeah.
You just done.
See, most people, when you grab their wrist, they go like this.
Yeah, right. All I do is bring it to you.
Yeah,
Now I can get my hammer around your
exactly.
neck.
Now he has the power.
Right.
By twisting,
Do it again. She twists up.
then you push down on his elbow.
Bam. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a whole bunch of techniques you can learn like that to keep yourself safe.
And all the boards are giving a self-defense.
Right,
class.
exactly. So go to one and learn some of these things.
I need your information, your
The Nelson board, Pasco board, Hernando County, they're all. and
Yeah,
it's-
Jan D is who you want to talk to here.
Yeah.
I know, I did.
Okay, okay. All right. All right, you can, it's all you can do.
I talked to her, but that's fine, we're
Okay.
gonna,
Share each other's afterwards. Make sure you get these there. Lee?
yeah, because we're gonna hold the class anyway.
Okay, good.
So I was hoping maybe you could help us run.
Absolutely.
The Tampa board has had a couple of these just in the last couple of months,
Okay.
for weapons.
Gotcha.
I think Tampa PD has gone to Tampa, Pasco goes to West Pasco.
Gotcha.
And that was.
Chris would know, right? Exactly. Okay. They're out there. They want to help. Trust me.
Yeah.
The law enforcement wants to help you do this, right? That's why they exist.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Well, it's good to have, your gun. Tasers, you have to be real close
Yeah.
in person.
Well, actually, you don't have to be, it depends on the front. The citizen taser from is 15 foot, and it's got a 30-second cycle, so I was a taser instructor.
Oh, really?
So that's why I want to get hold
That's
of
the
you.
one the police have, right?
No, it's a citizen taser.
Yeah.
There are two different versions of the citizen taser, and they have 30-second cycles.
Uh-huh.
If done properly, you tase somebody, you put that puppy down, you run, and it's amazing in 30 seconds how far you can get,
Sure.
you can get, how much help you can get.
Oh, yeah.
Quick question for anybody in here. How many of you have a whistle on your keychain? Get a whistle on your keychain. Get a whistle on your keychain. It's cheap, it's easy, it's right there. Just right now.
Okay,
Whistle.
concealed weapons permit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not for a taser.
It does. Well, see, having a gun is a good thing, but
You have to know how to use it.
Well, here's the
the
thing.
other thing is, people not wearing their vest.
Yeah.
They make them very small.
No kidding.
I mean, mine is perfect.
And the thing about a gun, I'm all
Yeah,
about
but if
the
you're
Second Amendment,
separate-
trust me, all right? Because like I said, we got that, but in my concealed weapons permit class, you know what, you'd be able to be prepared to use it. A lot of people aren't prepared.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true. Yeah.
Don't have one if you're not, I mean, and they tell you the first thing is, don't draw it if you're not gonna fire
Right, use it.
it. Exactly. You don't draw it to try and intimidate them to back away. The only time you draw is you're drawing and firing.
And you have to be, I remember I used it a lot. I mean, you have to go to the gun range and use
Right.
it, practice.
One right next door.
Right,
Shoot straight,
exactly.
right here. Exactly. I'm bringing mine down. I can't, you know what I mean? This, it's awesome.
Well, on the Bacon Open House.
Yes.
Last Tuesday, they had National Night Out in front of Target here in Clearwater. So
Yes.
some of the pro affiliates I partnered with and said, come bring your stuff. I'm having a table. One of the insurance ladies, reverse mortgage ladies, some of the mortgage people gave me their items to put on the table. And it was interesting because I had so much different stuff when I had my Bacon Open House sign. That's all I had, company sign. People says, what do you do? Because I had all this other things
Right.
about these other people. I said, well, these are my partners.
Right.
And I'm the realtor because these are services you're gonna need for the house and blah, blah, blah. I got 20 leads.
Wow, good.
You go where the people are, right?
And it didn't cost me a dime to be there.
You just.
Where is that? In front of Target? In front of
Yeah, the-
National Night Out, they do it every year.
Yeah, they just closed out the parking lot by Target, Gulf to Bay. Have police there and all kinds of stuff, it's actually pretty cool.
See? Hear about these things and get creative, right? Go to the flea market, right? Flea market, come on.
Like downtown Palmyra, you're having a thing downtown Palmyra.
I mean, I don't know, is there something that you can do with it? Remember, what's the third Friday or whatever they have? Do they have tables? Can you put a table out?
Yes, you can.
At Safety Harbor?
Yep.
I mean, can you know, who knows? Check it out. What's that? It's the third Friday, right? Isn't that called?
Yeah.
They shut down Main Street there and kind of have a gig and,
People don't expect to see you there, that's why they're kind of like, huh?
yeah, exactly. You know
They
what I mean?
don't think about it.
Be unique. It's, you know, and that's a lot safer, right?
Yeah.
What's gonna cost you there?
Oh, they had money.
Right? Costs all around. Exactly, even better. So just get creative. Go find places where you can meet people and start having conversations with people. Just have fun. You start having conversations. This business is a lot of fun. You just start, you know, helping people. Truly help, not just help them find a home, help them solve a problem. And then guess what? You know what? We're going to talk about this in a second because I kind of missed it the first time I read the book. I had a conversation with Michael, and I heard him say it, and when he speaks live, and it brought it home to me a little bit because we're going to talk about it in this chapter 6. Because I kind of went from the philosophy, oh, I'm not allowed to say referral, or not even allowed to ask ever, right? Sorry, because they say, what can I do for you? And I think, well, I could really use some business, right? That's what I'm thinking in my mind, okay? But ooh, I'm not allowed to say that, right? You know, no, that's not the answer. Because they've now asked, they've opened the door. It's because it's down here. You started with generosity, and now that's, hey, now you've done all this for me. What can I do for you, Joe? Now you say, hey, as a matter of fact, you know what I mean? Here we go. Okay, and so we'll get to that because that's the cool part of this, right? Is that it actually does lead to business, and you are allowed to say, hey, look, give me business. I'm good, right? Okay, Bacon open houses, do them. If you're not, don't forget tomorrow, every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, we have that conference call, that number right there. Okay, call in. There's some good stuff happening there. You know what the best thing we're doing now is just overcoming excuses. All right, people, oh, you know what? I'd like to, but I don't have one to sit. Well, you know what? I've got 4 others here, and I called this agent, and he's got another 3. I said, okay, there's that excuse gone. Now what's next? Well, I don't have any signs. Well, so-and-so went to Home Depot, found just a regular open house sign with an arrow, and put another corrugated board on top that hand wrote bank owned. All right, put a balloon on it. What's your next excuse? And which, you know what I mean? And so pretty soon you hear click, people leaving the call. I don't know. They're not allowing me to just give my excuses. But it's awesome because we're just sharing, you know, hey, look, here's what's working for me. I went to this one, it didn't work because I learned that it took 15 turns and I ran out of signs. All right, okay, then let's choose one that only takes 4 turns to get in, you know what I mean, or something like that. You just learn, right? It's part of making mistakes and learning as we go. I'm just telling you, this stuff is working for some of our newer agents that are looking for business. It's just coming. Now, bank owned, does it have to be bank owned? No, we just have learned that bank owned gets more traffic, right? You get more traffic at a bank-owned property. People are thinking that they're gonna get the steal of the century, in which they may or may not.
As long as you don't have to have a hazmat.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly, right. Yeah.
That's never getting cleaned out, though, that does not mean there isn't mold there.
Right, exactly.
If you are doing a opening non-bank
Yep,
loans,
yep.
what would be a good sign to add to your open house sign?
Bank owned and say, oh, you know, I forgot to
Bank
do
owned.
that.
Come get you, pick up your bank owned.
Well, technically, the bank does own it until it's paid off.
We are an elite here in state, we're an elite here in state, so the actual answer is no, you're down the title. But, you know, I don't know if there's a good answer for that, other than you could put a free foreclosure list available or something, you know, like they do sometimes, like agent on duty, you see those in front of offices, agent on duty, free foreclosure list inside.
Cookies.
What's that? Cookies, right, exactly. Right. Cookies, but I also have a taser.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, that's right. Legitimate people only.
Probably look at video scales, much money could you take?
That's right, exactly. You know, I don't know if there's any, but I think maybe try that free foreclosure list as well, or something like that. Because then they come and say, well, this one isn't foreclosure, but I do have a list of other foreclosures, and I can find those. So that would be an option.
You can use the word investors too,
What's that?
like investors dream or investors.
Yeah,
Property.
something like that. Investors.
Because they're all
like
investment
that.
properties.
And don't get me wrong, right now, I think you're going to get a lot of traffic no matter what. By the way, speaking of which, some of our newer agents, they're sitting open houses on Thursday afternoon.
Really?
Yep. Okay, they're doing all times of the day, drive time, whenever, because things are happening. Because right now, especially when it's, I told you, we're in the 30s, and that's in Tennessee. Right, Wisconsin, they're getting colder, right? Okay, they had some sleety snow at the Notre Dame game I saw, you know, over the weekend. So it's time for them to say, hey, you know what, I need a different kind of whiteout, and that's the white sugary sands of Clearwater Beach, right? That's my whiteout. And so they're going to be coming down. And when they're here, they're on vacation and they aren't at work. So why, you know, that's why traditionally we said Saturday and Sunday, because when people aren't working. Well,
I had one, I didn't get a chance to put a sign out.
yeah.
I had an offer and it was full price offer. I mean, I was lucky, that was the easiest.
Right, that's even better. Absolutely. But just get creative. You know what I mean? If you're doing your Sunday night ritual and saying, hey, look, I was supposed to have 3 new buyers this week and I only have 2. All right, then go sit in an open house on a Friday afternoon. All right, say I'm going to be disciplined. Right, I'm going to do that. There's freedom and structure. I'm going to make it happen. And they're doing it. These ladies. It's funny to watch some of these newer agents who are just dumb enough to listen. Right. Oh, they're out saying, oh, I've been in this 15 years. That doesn't work. Well, they're like, I've been in it 15 minutes. I'll try it. All right, okay? And they're outperforming the people that have been in 15 years, right? Okay. It was funny. One of them, I don't know if you know Betsy. Betsy is she's one of it. She said, she goes, it's amazing. You know, we were on the conference call, and she goes, it's amazing. It works just like Bob said. I said, you know, hang on. I said, I think my phone was cutting out on me again. Could you repeat? I think you said that it's working just like Bob said. So, that's fun. We have a good time on that call as well. That's tomorrow, Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern. Lasts maybe 30 or 40 minutes, or as long as you can. Or if you get tired of us blowing up your excuses, you can just hang up and never know. All right? Because you don't have to. We don't take roll call. We don't know who's on. All right? So who knows who you're on? You don't have to tell who you're on. All right, so last session's assignment, we wanted to continue to work on our affirmations. All right, we wanted to continue to do our blessings book. Remember, we're having our referral goals on our mirror, because remember that conversation is, how's the market? Yeah, you know, the market's tomorrow. It's kind of like the ocean, ebbs and flows, you know. It goes up and goes down. I learned I can't control that. I was trying to navigate as best I can. But the thing I'm most excited about is that I am 30% of the way to my referral goal this month. Really, what's your referral goal? Hey, you know, I didn't tell you. I want to give out 40 referrals and receive 20. Is there anything I can help you with? Boom. Okay, that's awesome. You know, so you start having that conversation, and that's unique. That's totally different than, the market's great. Or remember the one we were also taught, how's the market? Booming! You know, we were just remember in 2008, we were all taught to lie, right? Because if we're not confident in the market, then nobody will be. So we just got to lie ourselves through this thing, guys. All right? You know, we were taught that. Because if we're not confident in the market, then how could the consumer be confident in the market? Well, because they can read the news just like we can, and they're not stupid. All right, so that's why. But so we're talking referral goals, physical fitness, and eating right. I'm just telling you, you're going to start to live. It was funny. I was pastor at church on Sunday was talking about stewardship, and stewardship usually means asking for money. By the way, that's a key word. We're talking stewardship. It means be a wise steward of your money and give to us, right? That's usually what happens. And so find the right church. There was a big dialogue. I saw some thread about people. I don't want to give to my church because there's a bunch of crooks. Well, don't give to that church. That's what you feel like, by the way. number one. Number two, he was talking about how temporal things are anyway, right? And in the whole scheme of things, it's the old, you never see a,
Curse behind the.
yeah, the moving truck or U-Haul behind the hearse, right? Exactly, you can't take it with you type thing. And so at the end of the day, everything's pretty temporal. And he compared, he says, what we've learned is that I finally, 2 years ago, his wife got him a trainer for Christmas. He says, by the way, that's a sign. All right, if your wife, if you open up a little box and it's a gift certificate to a personal trainer, that's that she's trying to tell you something. Okay, and so with that in mind, he met with the trainer. His first thing we're just going to talk about intake. All right, what are you putting in your body? And he's learned that even though the tongue likes the carb, okay, it doesn't satisfy at the end of the day. Even though our bodies like the new car and the fancy thing or whatever, at the end of the day, it doesn't really satisfy. That's why we talked early on about having a purpose in life and why we're really doing this. It's got to be something deeper and bigger than just making money, because that's temporal, right? It's gonna that motivation fades. It really does, right? So it was awesome to see him talk about this, and I got to thinking about same thing with us, right? Is that the food we intake, right? I noticed it. We talked about the reason why you want to eat clean is you don't know what eating clean feels like, because we've eaten dirties for so long it feels normal, right? That's our norm, and so we don't know that it does. I told you the first time I started to eat better, the book that I was reading allowed me to eat just cheat on one day, right? And there was a reason behind it. It's because what happened is I was looking, because first of all, I said, I can do it for 6 days, 6 days, 6 days, 6 days, 6 days. Oatmeal again, oatmeal again, oatmeal again. All right, grilled chicken. God, I hate grilled chicken. You know what I mean? I'm the guy who started to test grilled chicken. But I get, Sunday's coming, Sunday's coming, Sunday's coming, Sunday's coming. Finally got there. I just gorged myself, right? And, cheeseburger, pizza, and everything is just, it felt terrible, right? But I look back, and I used to eat cheeseburgers and pizza a lot. And I never felt terrible because I didn't know what good felt like. You know what I mean? And so I had nothing to gauge it against. And so then, after that, I said, you know what? I don't even feel like cheating now, right? Because I don't like the way I felt after I ate that stuff. I felt much better eating clean. But I didn't know it because I had to eat clean first to even realize. Does that make sense? So, same thing there. Just, get in that habit. And just try it for just a couple days at a time at first. Give yourself 2 days on, 1 day off. And then see how that feels. All right? And just get to that point when you're doing it. Maybe your accountability part with that.
You will feel horrible though.
Sure,
In
at
the
first.
beginning,
Yeah.
because you're gonna purge all your toxins.
Yeah.
So you will feel
Absolutely.
terrible. Eating good.
Yeah.
But once you get used to doing it,
Sure.
you notice immediately when you eat something.
Yep.
And you can feel it, it makes you feel sluggish and like garbage, and your thought process slows down.
Yep.
And you know immediately.
It
But
doesn't taste
you gotta get through the cleanse part though, that's the part.
I know, it is, and you're right. But the cool thing is it's one of those things, do you live to eat or do you eat to live? Okay? Your food should be thought of as fuel, all right? Not some delicacy that I'm rewarding myself with, okay? That's hard for me. I trust me, all right? I'm a sweets guy, all right? And my tongue likes it. My tongue defers to other things than oatmeal, all right? And so with that in mind, you have to teach it, all right? Train and know how you feel.
Well, your taste buds change too.
That's true. I agree.
After a while.
Yeah. Beginner, you know what? Spectrum of Solutions, that was on the thing we covered. That's basically a brochure. Cool thing to have. Don't make it a top priority right now. If you're kind of baby stepping into this stuff, we're going to talk at the end about the 4 things you should be really doing. All right? And Spectrum of Solutions shouldn't be, hey, I'm not going to spend 3 hours looking at my Spectrum of Solutions instead of making phone calls. I'd rather you make phone calls. Okay? Have a one-on-one meeting, and that's just, that can happen anywhere. Okay, it doesn't have to be, hey, let's go necessarily meet for coffee. I posted on the 100K Club, you guys see about Vanessa, new agent in Orlando. Hadn't even passed her test yet. But she's been attending the 100K, right? So she's coming to the 100K. She goes to open up a new bank account. And as she's opening up this new bank account, she's listening, and she notices that she's a single mom, and the lady opened the account happens to have a daughter the same age as her daughter, 3 years old or something like that, right? I think it's 3. Well, she's listening, and the lady says, I'm having a struggle with my daughter recognizing her letters. She can say them, you can say they, but she doesn't recognize them well, right? So she heard right? Went out, dollar store, 2 days later, bought a little dry erase board that, or a little sheet that had all the letters that she could trace and all that kind of stuff, and a package of dry erase pens, bought a little card in a bag, cost her $4, right? Dropped it off at the bank, and said, hey, I was just thinking of you, and I just, the lady was floored, right? Floored. And she said, you know what, first of all, she was floored by the fact that A, somebody would do it, B, that somebody was listening, actually, right? That actually heard her when she was saying, my daughter's struggling with this. And she said, hey, you know what, I got 2 friends that are looking to buy a house. The minute you pass your test, you make sure you let me know. Okay, in the old days, we were taught, you're not going to succeed unless you have $5,000 a month billboard. Trust me, that $4 investment is worth way more than a $5,000 billboard to strangers. Right? Now she's got an advocate. She's got an ambassador for her because she was thoughtful. That kind of stuff. And so that was a one-on-one meeting. She didn't plan it out. She was going to open a new bank account. Okay? It just happened. All right? So those one-on-one meetings, because our goal at the end of a one-on-one meeting is to have an action item. Her action item was, I'm going to go do that. Right? By the way, this is the book that we're working on for, it started last month with these 2 books. Richest Man in Babylon and The Legend of the Monk and the Merchant. Really cool books. All right, for November, we're probably going to add Fears. And now that we know about it, go read it real quick and let me know. All right? All right, we'll talk about those again later on. Okay, and don't forget the Michael Merriman. Okay, that's this coming Tuesday. All right, Safety Harbor Resort and Spa. Be there with foam between your toes. Okay. All right. Okay, so session 4. There's some good stuff. Did anybody reread chapter 6? Right before we came? Joe, I know you did. You had some opening moment. Oh, yeah, got that. In there, a couple of phrases that are in there. First of all, is it good to hear from you? You want to make calls, but here's the thing. Don't make calls if you're in the wrong mood. I'd rather you not make a call than just say, I'm going to make these calls regardless if I hear you. I'm going, hey, how you doing? All right? Okay? You don't want to make that call. What's that?
Bob's making me call.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm trying to check this off my list. How's it going? All right? Not the attitude you want to have, right? Is it good to hear from you? You should reflect a generous attitude in your call, okay? That your call, because remember the reason you're calling? The whole reason you're calling is to find something you can help them with, okay? You're finding an action item, all right? That's your action item. Find something I can leave this call with. I'm going to help them with something. It's not I got to get through this so I can end it with, do you or anybody you know looking by yourself real estate for the next 6 months? Okay? It's not what we're doing. Joe, this is part we talked about, right? That actually, when you have that mindset that I'm calling to help, then if you're hesitating on your calls, it's actually selfishness on your part. That is a mindset shift right there, guys. All right? Before we hesitated on our calls because I hate making sales calls. Right? But I love making help calls. All right? So if I'm making help calls, what does that look like, by the way? We've been talking about this. What does that look like? Young man that was in our class last night from Venezuela. All right? I said, okay, so Ricardo, I said, but what if I haven't talked to him in 18 months? I said, okay, Ricardo, you and I haven't talked in 18 months. And so you're from Venezuela, right? Yeah. Okay, ring, ring. Hey, Ricardo, it's Bob. Yeah, McDougal, Bob McDougal. Yeah, I know, we haven't talked in a while. Hey, you know what? I was driving by and I saw this flag, and it kind of reminded me of the Venezuelan flag, so I thought about you. How's it going, man? Yeah. One phone call will overcome 365 days of perceived indifference on your part. They are not going to say we haven't talked. Really? You thought about it? You remember I'm from Venezuela? Yeah, I just, thought about that. How are things going? What's going all right? Things are happening. What's going on with you? I don't know. Well, actually, things are great. I'm in real estate now. Things are happening. Things are going on. And one of the things I'm doing, I've got this goal. It's a referral goal. It's kind of funky. What I'm doing is I want to give out 40 referrals and receive 20 this month. So I'm just calling, after I thought about you, I want to say, hey, is there anything I can help you with? What's your biggest struggle right now? What's going on in your life? And let silence be your friend. We'll talk about that in a second. It's the old rule of negotiating, right? He who speaks first loses. Remember that one, by the way. All right? You're talking to Joe has a listing. His seller wants 200. I have a buyer, and we're stuck at 190. Okay? All right? So I call back Joe. Hey, Joe, man, really 190 is as high as we can go, man. I've talked to him, and I'm looking at the numbers, And I think 190 is all we can do. I'm gonna outlast him. I'm gonna make sure that he speaks first, and he's gonna say, you know what, let me see if my buyer can come down to 195. I mean, my seller can come down to 195. Okay? Oh, that's a great idea. Why don't you get back and check with him, and I'll check, and I'll float that by my people too, but you confirm with your people first.
You're right, silence is powerful.
It is, because they're like, uh-oh, I've even had it where they say, are you still there? Yeah, I'm here. All right, and that's all I say. You know what I mean? Because it'll work. Because if not, if I had spoken first, I would have said, hey, let me check and see if my buyer will go to 195. All right? So that's just the philosophy of the silence. And the same thing is let silence work. You know, I'm just checking to see what's your biggest, you know what? And he might say, well, help me out. What are you talking about? I said, I don't know. Is there anything, what's going on in your life? Well, right now, you know, I just got a new boat and I bent the prop. Really? Let me check. You know what? I think I might have a good referral for you for a guy. So that's perfect. That's great. You know what I mean? We'll do it. Let me get back to you. Got my action item, I'm gone. That's what that looks like. All right? It's not hesitating. Hey, I'm just checking in. People, what if they're in a different state? No problem. Call them. Still, just call. Let the activity breed the activity. Because what happens, you start having these kind of conversations, then, all right, if you're helping people, they look forward to your call. If you're asking for referrals, they will avoid your call. Right? Remember the NFL? You end up in the no friends left league. Okay? All right, when you start, every time you call them, it's all about you and what can they do for you. All right? If you help people, they're going to look forward. Hey, that's Joe again. Let me pick that up. Last time he hooked me up with a good guy who helped me fix my boat. Why wouldn't I take Joe's call? Right? That's just what you want to do. Definable goal, remember that's our goal, is to have an action item at the end of that call. Or a one-on-one meeting or whatever it is. All right? Say, hey, look, I'm going to get back to you by next Tuesday with bam. Okay? 2 powerful phrases. After you're doing this, they cover this in the book. This is pretty cool. If you get stuck in the conversation, all right, or if you're trying to elicit, and let's draw them out a little bit. These are just some phrases that really, really work well. In addition to, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while, you frog them, right? Haven't talked to you in a while, how's the family? What are you doing for recreation? How's the job, occupation, FRO, and G are your goals, right? How are things going? What do you know? Are you proceeding? Oh, yeah, I'm looking to get my MBA. Oh, that's awesome. That's a goal, right? And so you start going in that direction. Now, if you start to elicit some further conversation, 2 powerful phrases, tell me more about that. And what is important about that to you? Okay, you can load them on another 3 minutes after that. Okay, those are 2 very powerful lines that will continue the conversation. And remember, you're listening, and so you got to be in the right frame of mind, which includes that we got our first and 10s done. All right, so our to-do list is already out of our way, so that when I'm calling them, I don't see my to-do list in my head. I'm trying to listen and get an action item, but all I can think about is I got to call the appraiser back for maybe 123 Main Street, right? I call 123 Main Street appraiser before I start to make these calls, so I can be focused. 1 hour locked in, 30 minutes locked in.
Add to the list. Keep a notepad by your bedside, so when you wake up, write it down.
Absolutely, sure, absolutely. So, absolutely. This is Chuck reminding Bill to shut up. Remember that? What was that movie? Remember they started that. They were running a brothel out of the morgue. This Henry Winkler, Night Shift, yeah, right, exactly. Remember that again, and he had that little thing. He always had that little mini cassette recorder. He always had an idea, and so Henry Winkler told him, "This is Chuck reminding Bill to shut up."
Well, I want to tell you that I tried it the very first time I tried it.
Tried what?
This is what happened.
Tried
So what can I do for you?
Oh yeah, cool, awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your biggest challenge?
Yeah.
Was my question.
Awesome.
And she says to me, she said money. And I was like, damn it, Bob. I was looking for a tutor for my kids.
Yeah, right.
I'm looking for somebody to fix my car. I'm like, really? Well, by the end of it, we had created a cleaning business for her.
See?
Then it was got a little creative with it.
That's
but,
good. No.
I had to laugh. And then her manager had come in, a regional manager,
Right.
and she wanted me to So introduces him and I give him the same question.
That's awesome.
And he says,
Money.
right, basically he said, I need more time with my kids.
Okay. Well, tell me more about that. What's important? Tell me more about that.
How do I do that? I said, well, you need to move closer to work. I was like, well, no, I didn't say that. Actually, what I said was you need to go work for G.
Right.
But, you know, it was just, I was mad at you first. And I was like, okay, this was a trap. You trapped me into it's going to be an easy answer.
Right, there needs to be something simple, like I need a ballet class for my daughter. Right.
But honestly, if you get talking and keep talking and feel comfortable, you just, you know, I might not have gotten there really,
Right.
You know, but we kind of did.
You did. You
Yeah.
peeled the onion,
And
right?
a
You
friend
dig
I'm
deeper.
connected with that does this, has their own business,
Yeah.
so I am gonna do that. But it just initially,
Yeah.
I
I'm
was
scared.
like, oh.
But see, but now then when the easy ones come, you'll be a piece of cake. Like that's easy. That feels easy compared to money. But that's probably not an uncommon one for you to get. All right. And so you say, hey, you know what? Well, tell me more about that. You know what's great at this is Gary Baldini. All right, because he teaches in his listing class, is he's going to dig deeper into the real reason why are you moving? Because you want to find that motivation, right? We got to peel that onion. All right, let's get to the root of the problem. Okay, what's the real issue? Michael does a great job of this when people say to agents will say, hey, Michael, how do I get more referrals? All right, well, I need more referrals. I get that as Jim, right? You get that new agents coming in, and even agents coming in. Well, what do you guys do for referrals? Well, what you're really asking, I think, is you want more business. All right, that's, you know what I mean? Am I right? Well, yeah, really, I just need more business. Well, here's what we do. We teach you how to fish rather than give you a fish, you know what I mean? You start digging into the training concepts and how we can do that. We'd rather, you get that yourself because, you start in doing that. So that's kind of our version of money. Is like, what do you want? Referrals. Right. Okay, well, what's important to you about that? Now we can even refine that. Well, really, I just want, I'm struggling right now and I need to pay the bills. So what you're really saying to me is, when I hear you, is that you need more business, right? And what you're saying to me is that, hey, look, maybe there's a way that on your free time that you could help. I know a friend that has her own cleaning company. Maybe she could either take you on or, and have some stuff. Maybe we can help you. Again, you're solving a problem, but you're listening. That was the key. Is that you dug deeper a little bit. And I love the fact that you're upset. All right. Okay. But you did it, right? And that's the key.
I muddled through it.
Yeah, see? And that's, you know what? But you muddled through it. And if I interviewed her, would I say, hey, did she muddle through it? She goes, no, she was great. You think you muddled. She thinks that's awesome. Someone listened to me and they helped me solve a problem.
Yeah, they don't.
Right?
They don't know the difference.
They don't know the difference. And they don't want somebody that's smooth and, sticky. Right? Hey. You know what I mean? They don't want that. They want something that's real. It's just going to help them. Really, you really want to help me? Are you honest? Seriously? All right, you better be careful what you ask for, because I've got problems, and here they are. What? Right? You want challenges? I got challenges, all right? And you need to be, and that could happen, all right? And that's okay. You get a lot of action items, not just one. You got a whole year's worth of action items for that person. So, be prepared to do that. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Barbara.
I'm actually doing my first referral. I went on 100K and asked for a guy that does tarring for driveways.
Yeah.
Because I've been working out my front yard. I got the feng shui designation, so I'm doing my own yard.
Oh, cool.
So all the neighbors have noticed and they start coming over talking to me.
Right.
And the one lady that lives 2 houses down, she has the most beautiful yard ever. So she came over and started talking to me, and I was saying, when my yard grows up, it's gonna look like yours.
Yeah.
So she says, oh, well, my driveway's a mess, it looks horrible. And so I said, oh, what do you want done to it? And she said, oh, I just want someone to come and tar, but I'm afraid because I've been burned. She got burned on her roof, she got burned on with a plumber, and a bunch of other people. And I said, oh, I got burned when I first moved here too.
Right.
I hired the 3 guys that knock on doors.
Yeah.
And so she said to me, I said, I'm a realtor, and I bet I can find you a guy who tars driveways. And so I went on 100K and asked. And today, when I leave here, I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna talk to her and I'm gonna give her the tar guy. And I doubt she's moving because she's doing all this work. So I just think, you know, she'll talk to someone else in the neighborhood, go
That's the way
buy
it
some
works.
realtor, so.
That's the way it works. Your goal is to give 40.
Connections.
Yeah, it's all about, and next time because we're gonna talk about the reticular activation system here in a second. This is the cool part, all right? Because what's gonna happen with her, all right, is this, watch. You start to have referral conversations. This is on page 89. It talks about the fact that you are allowed to actually discuss the word. Matter of fact, you say, hey, who can you connect me with, or who can you introduce me to, all right? It's different than saying, hey, who can you refer me to? But you actually can, once you've given the massive value, once that's been thrown on their side, okay? You are, especially when they open the door, and they will, right? Because generosity leads to reciprocity, all right? Just like jumping off a roof leads to me falling down to the ground. It's the law of the land, right? Generosity leads to reciprocity. I love the who like you. Hey, you know what, John and Susan? Now that we've got this all, you know, you probably got to, we just about leaving your closing, right? You're excited, you're a first-time home buyer. Who like you as a renter that you would love to have this very feeling right now? You are allowed to have that conversation. You've given them massive value. You stepped up to the plate, you said what you were going to do, and you delivered. All right? But who like you is a lot different than who can you refer me to? And because it gets their mind worried. Hey, you know what? I just moved out of an apartment. All right, we had hung out with 3 people by the pool like every weekend. They were jealous of the fact that I'm doing this. Who like you? All right, who like you is a renter? Who is a renter like you that maybe I'd love the introduction. I'll treat them fairly, just like I did you. You know what I would do? I was doing some of the stuff where I knew that I was doing what I was doing, right? I just learned along the way. I'd have them in my car when I was showing property, and we'd be just chatting. I'd be frogging them. I didn't know I was frogging them. I didn't know what it was called. I was just talking to them, learning about them. And next thing I know, I'd say, you know what the funny thing is, guys? I said, every time I sell a house, I sell 5. Like, what are you talking? I said, it just seems like I always get introduced to like 4 or 5 of their friends. That's all I would say. I'm not saying I am asking for a referral, so I'm planting their seed. So I would do that, and it was hilarious. 6 months from now, I get a referral from them, right? So I call them back, didn't know to do this, and do a great retrace, and all I know what it's all called, right? So I call them back, hey, John and Susan, I just talked to your friends, Bill and Mary, and I've got hooked up with a lender. It looks like they're pre-approved. Going to start seeing property. Thanks so much for that. Oh yeah, Bob, that's number 2 now. I said, what? Oh yeah, remember how you said that you always sell 5 homes?
The challenge for them.
It was a challenge. I planted that seed in there, and I didn't say, hey, you will refer me 5. You know what I mean? But they were keeping track, and I didn't even know, right? That's number 2. I said, you know what? You're right. That was also, hey, thanks so much, and it was funny, but I just couldn't be out there planting. It's funny and it was true because I was doing it, and it became very true because I kept planting that seed. It's funny. It's funny. I just found I treat people right. I work hard. I bust my tail, and I end up selling 5 homes for every person that gets in my car. It equals 5 sales. It's kind of funny. All right. And that's the whole thing. And it's just the way it rolls, and it's kind of cool that you put that out there. So that who like you is a great line. The grow your business script. Reread this on page 90. You know what? Hey, now that you've given me massive value, what could I do for you? It's funny you ask that. I am looking to grow my business. All right. So is there anybody you can connect me with who like you? Is it da-da-da-da? So I'm looking to grow my business. And is there anybody you know who I might be able to help? I'd love for you to introduce me to them. Bam. Easy. We're allowed to do it. All right? It's not because it's down here. It starts with generosity. All right? But it's down there and we're allowed to do it. Let silence be your friend. We talked about that already. Okay? The RAS. Yeah. Exactly. The RAS script. Now, here's a great example of the RAS script. Kind of refined. Reticular activation system. You don't want to sound bookish. A reticular activation system says that you're going to be highlighted, you're really be attuned to people who might be buying houses then. Here's what you can say. All right? Hey, you know what? John, Susie, now that you're in the home buying process, you can start this when they're in it, right? They're under contract. And we're meeting for the home inspection. Hey guys, now that we're in this and you're I said, you know what? It's funny. Have you ever noticed, Susie, you have a kid. You remember when you were pregnant that before you were pregnant, you never noticed anybody was pregnant, but then once you were pregnant, everybody was pregnant, and it's all you saw were pregnant people, because your mind, was attuned to that. Or John, you remember like when you decided you were going to buy a new truck, and you never saw trucks before, but now that your eyes are, you're kind of thinking about buying a truck, all you see are trucks. I said, what I found is it's kind of funny that, 3 weeks ago before we met, the person behind you in the line at the grocery store could have been talking about needing to buy a house, and you wouldn't even notice. But now you're in the grocery store and somebody 4 aisles over mentions it and you hear it, right? Because you're attuned to that. Do me a favor, it's going to happen. Think of me. I'd appreciate an introduction. I'm going to treat you the same way I treat you. You know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. So that's how that you got to make it you, right? But it's not this, did you know that scientific studies have proven that, the reticular activation system ignites on people and you're attentive. You don't want to do that, right? You just got to use some real life examples. I know for me, this is what happened to me when I started looking for that. You know what I mean? And so it's really cool. So you start to have those kind of referral conversations with people without them even being referral conversations. It's not the greatest compliment I can receive. All right, is a referral. All right, that's a little too salesy. Oh, yeah, it is a little old school. Triangle of trust. This is huge. Reread that section. Hey, you know what? I do have a guy in my office. All right, that is looking to buy a home. I'll have him call you. You know what? That's great. That's awesome. Would you mind if I called him? Better yet, could you do me a favor? Could you just let him know when you get back after lunch here? Just run by and say, you gave me his number. Just tell him, hey, look, I gave your number to my realtor friend Bob. I told him that he might be looking for a place, so he'll be calling you. So now I'm even more accepted into that call. I've got a third party that's validated my existence, right? Giving me the blessing, if you will.
I get most of that.
What's that?
I get most of that, what you just said.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Hey, look, I'm calling you because, oh yeah, Susie told me you'd be calling. Right? And perfect. That's a lot easier call to make, a lot easier conversation to have. They've already paved the way for you. All right? But read that Triangle of Trust section of the book. It's really good and how it works and how that rolls. And Are You the Chosen One script? It's funny. You reread this on page 96 and 97. Read that. Are you the chosen? And then go back to the first chapter and realize that Michelle dropped the Are You the Chosen One script on Rick in chapter 1. All right, the first time they met at the restaurant, she dropped that script. So it's kind of really cool the way Michael wrote the book because he introduced all the concepts in the first 2 chapters, right? From meeting to taking them through and then going to the seminar and all that kind of stuff. And then the coaching sessions re-walk you through how Michelle learned to do what she did in the chapters 1 and 2, right? So it's kind of cool the way he wrote the book and did that. So that's the one that says, hey, look, if you had a friend that was looking to buy or sell real estate, who would you recommend they use? Okay, now that's a pretty powerful thing. You got to be, in the book they talk about it, you better be prepared for the answer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Okay, so I'm having an issue with, for 3 years, I've done 95% short sale listings.
Yep.
I have my, previous sellers, and they are referring people to me.
Cool.
But my problem with that is I'm trying to get away from short sales.
Sure.
So they always think of me, oh yeah, I got a friend who's in trouble. I'll send him to the bar. I'll send him to the bar. And now I'm like, I don't want the short sales. I'll pay for them. I don't want them anymore.
Right.
Well, yeah, you can take them fine. You can fight with the Chivo.
Right.
I'm sick of that.
well, there's-
But after 3 years, I'm just so.
Okay, let's put out to the group. Recommendations, anybody? Do you have a solution to that? Margaret, I think you got
How do you
see that.
convert them over, other than, the ones that are 2 years older or longer, they can become buyers now.
Right, hang on, Margaret, what do you think?
I would put them all on, if it's people that you've been in my experience is when I've been in a short sale relationship with a seller, we are practically related.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
But the thing is, they're like, I also have a friend who's in trouble, so I want you to help him
True
get
enough,
out of this
true
one."
enough. So you've got a choice on those short sales, either refer them out and take a referral feedback. But on the other side of that, I would say your responsibility is to communicate to them on that level, not the not like that. it's about being real with them. So get real with them, write something to them and mail it to them and call them and let them know, hey, I so appreciate that you sent Mary and you sent Joe to me. You know, I just wanted to touch base with you and let you know, did you know that I love doing short sales, but the market's shifting again? Whether it is or not is irrelevant. The market's shifting
Well, it
again.
is.
Exactly. But whether or not they think it is irrelevant. You're going to tell them it is.
Right.
Whether or not it, you know, I don't know whether you realise, but the market's shifting, and my business has shifted too. And now I'm still pleased to help your friends with short sales, but I would love to help, you know, the other people that you know that are looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate.
Have that, and you know what, and she's exactly right, you can have that honest, real talk,
Yes.
because you've got a tight
That's the
relationship, those
relationship
people
you
that,
had.
like you said, you lived with for
And
2
they're
years.
already referring you.
Right, exactly, and you just tell them, hey, look, don't be afraid to refer me to other people, is what you say it in that exact way, right? Hey, I'm tired of your short sale referral, give me something else. I appreciate the short sale referral, but the market is shifting, right? And you know what, we're finding a lot of deals are happening that aren't short sales anymore. And so I would appreciate an introduction to those type of people as well.
Just looking at who you're referring to short sales to if you choose not to do it.
And
Right.
you know
Oh, yeah,
how,
definitely.
how I would handle that, like right now, because of where we're at in the year, I would write a gratitude letter to those people that you're wanting to shift. Write a letter of gratitude to them. I've been in business, you know, I've been in business 3 years. Thank you so much. I'm just so glad that you've been part of my journey in real estate. And here's, you know, here's where my business is going for moving forwards. And this is what I'm doing next. Invite those people to an event. Host an after-hours mixer or drinks at your house, or do something to bring them together even. Because when you put them in the same room with the other people, they'll be tripping over each other to tell each other how you helped them more than you helped that one. Bring them together. Bring them together and share that with them. Just be real with them.
And just, yeah, and
then
don't
watch
be
it
afraid. That's
explode.
exactly it. Tell them, because they don't know. They, you know, it's the old typecast, right? Once I did this role as an actor, then I'm stuck in that role as an actor, right? I got to break out of that role. I don't, you know, I'm being typecast as the horror movie guy or whatever. You know what I mean? And so, how do I break out of that? Then you
Yeah,
have to say,
that's what I'm doing. That's why I, you know, took all these classes in the feng shui and all
perfect.
that. 'cause
Well,
it's
just
like,
be
you know,
proactive in it.
Have you told them that?
moving
Yeah.
in a
Did
different
you
direction.
hear
Did
that?
you tell them that?
Did you tell them that you've taken the feng shui stuff and now you have this destination?
No, but that's my next move.
There you go. Write it down. Got an action item. Write it down. Who's your accountability partner? Hold her to it. All
I
right.
don't have one.
You gotta get one.
Because then you can even be targeting them on, you know, when you buy your next home, I'd love to help you get your home set. You know, I'd love to help you when you're selling, people who are selling because of all of these things. Just let them know because if they don't know.
Joe experienced that, right, Joe? Talking about just amazing when you send out some cards, then you get the, hey, I forgot to talk to my college buddy, we're good friends, and we talked to him, and yeah, I'm real excited that you bought a home without me.
Yeah.
Right? Remember in the book when he has that
Just bought one,
experience?
sold my other one.
Right? You know? And so, and again, remember whose fault is that? It's our fault, right? It's not their fault that we weren't top of mind, it's our fault that we weren't top of mind. Okay? Fair enough. Great question, great answer. Thanks, Margaret.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, so here are the things we're going to talk about. 4 rituals. Do them. If you did this, just do these 3 things and then another one if you need new business. All right? 4 rituals. Morning ritual. You get up, you do your affirmations, your blessings book, you exercise, and you're ready to take on your day. You eat well. Okay? Second ritual is the pre-leave ritual. In my opinion, the most important thing on the pre-leave ritual is what? You guys remember? First and 10. Absolutely. What's that first and 10? It's out of my mind. It's my stuff to do the next morning. First thing. It's fresh tomorrow morning. When I'm at our desk, by the way, is usually our laptop, right? That's our desk. So wherever we are, right? We open it up. Oh, there's my little note card I made yesterday. I need to make these 6 phone calls. Boom. I get them done in 12 minutes when it would have taken me 30 just to remember what I was supposed to do before. The other thing I found is that when I do that, it's out of my mind. So when I go home, remember, I'm engaged to basement hockey with my kids. It's not that, oh man, I got those other things I got to do tomorrow. But yeah, that's tomorrow, all right? Met a guy at this kind of crass. He said, you know, some people live their life 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow, and they're pissing all over today. All right? Okay. We can't control that, right? And so just, you know what? Get it off and say, you know, I'm going to be in the moment. Wherever you are, be there. Okay? Just, and be there. But allow yourselves techniques to allow you to be there, right? These are some techniques. That pre-leave ritual is huge. All right? Get that first and 10 done. We'll finish the rituals. The pre-sleep ritual is basically a prayer, meditation, reflection time. 30 seconds, guys. It doesn't take, I'm not, you know, when I say prayer, it's not some, you know, let's put on, I mean, if that's your thing, you got to put on a robe and a shawl and all that stuff. I'm just talking about, hey, look, you know what? Here I am.
As long as the robe's from the spa.
That's right, exactly. And it wasn't stolen. And part of your prayer may be, forgive me for stealing this robe that I'm currently wearing. Exactly. And then the fourth one is
gratitude for the robe.
That's right, exactly.
For allowing me to have this robe.
That's right. You know, speaking of it, real quick on prayer, our pastor gave us a great reminder. I've heard this before. Acts, A-C-T-S. All right, good way to pray is this. A is for adoration. Okay, you know, admit that you're not God. All right, and that they are, or it is, or whatever you're praying to is. Okay, so there's adoration. C is, what is C? I should have written this down. Confession. All right. So hey, you know what? You know what? I come from a faith where thank God. All right, that it's He's a forgiving God. All right. Okay. So that's a cool thing from where I believe, and it's not that I have to do this in order to earn my stripes to get there. T is thanksgiving. All right. I'm going to give thanks. So we got adoration, admitting that they're holier than you are and you're not it. Okay. C is confession. T is thanks, and S is supplication. That's where you ask. Okay. It comes last, by the way. All right. Usually we start the other way. Oh God, I'm in trouble. Help me down. All right. Okay. That's usually what it is. And by the way, thanks. All right. It's after those things first. So that's a good way to do it. You haven't thought about praying in a while. All right. Time block. Just 2 mornings. 2 mornings. Just time block. All right. I dare you to get up a half an hour earlier too. It is refreshing. I got up yesterday because I stayed in Tampa and I had to drive to Orlando.
You see the moon?
What's that?
You see the moon?
I did. It was powerful. It was awesome. It was a blood moon. Yeah. But see, you know what? I love the mornings. I have to remind myself sometimes that I love the mornings, but I love the mornings when I'm there. I do. You know, I get up and it's fresh, it's clean. People are, one of the things I thank God about is He gave us 24-hour cycles. You know what I mean? Last night might have ended real crappy. All right, but I wake up and things just feel fresher in the morning. All right, and here I woke up yesterday and it was only 72% humidity, not 92. All right, because it was only 6:15 in the morning, so it's cool. All right, it's there. So just time block 2 mornings, average 2 weeks, 2 hours a week of an hour of power. An hour of power are just calls or one-on-one meetings, things that I'm just going to start making some of these calls. Start actually having this one-on-one meeting. I'm going to do it. Dadgummit, Bob, I'm going to do it. I don't want to look you in the face again if I didn't. So here I am and I did it. And dadgummit, I'm going to hate the fact when they say money's my problem. All right, but now you got a solution, right? Exactly, right?
Money's everybody's problem.
It is, But you dig deeper and say, well, okay, look, what do you mean by that? And is it, I really want more time with my kids. Okay, cool, right? It's, kind of our version of what would make it a 10++, right? It's okay, what would make it a 10+? What would make it a 10++? Where do we go and how do we make that happen? Average 2 hours a week. You know what? 2 hours a week is simple. Doesn't have to be all in one shot. I think it is good if it's at least in a half hour because you get on a roll. All right? You get things happening. The agents that are doing the bank-owned open houses are learning that so many people are coming through that they get on a little roll. Right? That their shtick, if it will, doesn't seem shtick-ish and it flows because it's not hour and a half between the last time they saw somebody. So it's it's starting to flow better for them. All right? As they're doing it and making those things happen. Have a one-on-one meeting somewhere. There's a cup of coffee. Let's grab a cup of coffee sometime. Friend you haven't seen in a while. All right? I was driving by, whatever, and reminded me of you. Let's get together and have a cup of coffee. I'd love to do it sometime. Haven't seen you in a while. At the end, you're going to leave it an action item. Okay? Call 3 other past clients and friends. That can be part of your hour of power. That's kind of what it is. If you just did these things, guys, right here, it's game over. If you did that, left it with an action item, had the action item, maybe followed up with a little note saying, hey, it's great talking to you. I haven't talked to you in a while. It's great to hear from you. All right, that bam. I admire the way that you're going back to school and pursuing your MBA. All right, so all of the power note stuff, get it out there. Okay, repeat, repeat, repeat.
City
That-
Hayden gave some really powerful notes stuff, if you can't think of your own.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, that was a great post out there. So follow, there's some really good stuff out there that City Hayden posted as well. It's good. Thank you for bringing that up, it's true. Try the chosen one script sometime. It's gotta be somebody you've already given massive value to, right? So it's probably a past client or somebody that you're already under contract with or something like that, all right? But here's the thing, we didn't cover it when I said the chosen one. You gotta be prepared for the answer, right? Because if the answer is somebody else, all right, then the follow-up question is, you know what about them, causes you to choose them? Again, let silence be your friend. Well, it's because it's my brother. Okay, fair enough. You know what I mean? I can't be your brother. All right, so I get that. All right, and that's cool. But also, Michael taught last time in the seminar, you need to know, right? You don't want to be pouring all this potential time, if you know what I mean, into something. It's not that we're in this for somebody who's never going to use you, right? Because if your time is limited, right, then you're going to pour your investment into people that are going to reciprocate. And if the reciprocation is never going to come because they have an aunt that's in the business that they're committed to, then know that. It's better to know than not to know, right? And this is a good way to know, is to use this. This is a pretty poignant question, all right? Hey, if somebody you knew was looking to buy or sell real estate, who would you recommend they use? All right? And if it's anybody but you, all right, as their answer, it's like, ooh, what about me causes you to say that? So, I mean, there's some flaws that I have that I need to work on, you know what I mean? But it's not going to be that. It's going to be, hey, you know what? I don't know. I haven't thought about it recently. Okay, great. What would it take for me to be that person?
That's professional.
What's that?
That's professional.
Right.
What would it take for me to be that professional?
That professional is what he says?
Yeah.
Okay, even better. That person it is opposed to that professional.
Yes.
Okay, so.
Because it's not just about being the body that gets, it's
right.
about being that person.
Gotcha. Perfect. Even better line. Thank you very much. So what would it take for me to be that professional? Awesome. Cool.
Then they can interpret that question whichever way.
Right.
Like, well, you'd have to show more integrity, or you'd have to be,
Right.
dressed nicer, or whatever.
Right. Exactly. Sure. Exactly. You know, and sometimes that honest feedback can be hard, right?
Yes.
Harsh, yeah, if you didn't show up in flip-flops, then maybe I wasn't, but that's okay, that's, you say, hey, look, well, my other clients didn't care if I had flip-flops, but you do, obviously, so I can make note of that.
It's good to know that I was at a Savvy meeting and I was meeting somebody from Fort Myers, and they came up in a business dress shirt, not a tire, and he was traveling from Naples, Fort Myers area. And I met him at a homeschool thing. He drove all the way to St. Pete to meet me at the Savvy Card Lunch and Learn, because I wanted to introduce him to the cards. I'm sitting here working before the meeting. There's a guy in a suit down here, just a sport jacket, doing business before the meeting. Then I went into the meeting, and he's sitting at the table here when I got into the meeting. I'm sitting in jeans, but I had just gotten rained on because it's that kind of weather. I'm in my downtown St. Pete shoes. And he's sitting in a sports jacket, he's in a business casual. And then comes in this woman dressed in a suit. And then the gentleman with her is dressed in a suit. I really felt intimidated by suits. Then a presenters from Savvy Card comes in their shirts and jeans. Okay, a little more comfortable here. So it is important to get to know where people are comfortable with. Sure. Now I'm forcing myself to write that lady in the suit a power note because I'm afraid of suits. She's a person, but it's just like, that's me getting past that. I felt underdressed.
Right.
But it's sometimes empowering to know what it is that's not right for a specific client.
Sure, absolutely, and you get that answer sometimes when you ask that question. You know what I mean? And that's a well, it's because you got to be prepared for the answer and take it as constructive feedback, right? That's all it is. You can't get all bowed up about it. All right, to do it.
Downtown St. Pete, where it's just fun, I think.
Right.
Well, you know what's funny about your story is I have the exact opposite thing happen to me. I always want to be dressed, look really nice when I meet people. I'm out there in my yard digging, looking crazy, covered in sweat and everything. They're all coming up to me, talking to me. They're all like, oh, you're a realtor? Oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'll get you a card. Here, you want to pull it out because my hands are covered in dirt right now. And the weird thing is, I feel uncomfortable, but they love it. They're like, yeah, she's digging in the dirt. So now my thing's going to be that I'm not afraid of hard work.
There you go. That's right.
Because I thought, I had to sit down and think about how am I gonna twist that?
Right.
Because I was like, I don't wanna talk to people when I look like that.
I'll get my hands dirty for you too.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah, so I had to sit down and think about, they don't mind, so it's my problem. So to think about how I'm gonna twist that around, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna say to them, obviously not very hard work, guys, you've seen me.
Yeah, that's, and you know what, and different, and you can't be all things to all people, right? So, but you just know it, right? It's who you are, when it's the way I roll, and you know what, I can appreciate that. Maybe I can refer you to somebody that wears a three-piece suit and tie.
Well, the nature of her business is advertising, and she does to the big corporate businesses, so she has to
Different.
wear a suit. She probably would go to the same place I would go to with her kids.
Exactly, and given the choice, if she had a choice of what to wear, she probably would wear exactly to do it. The RAS script, it's just think about that. What would it mean to you, right? How would that RAS script, that's the, hey, maybe your antenna's up, all right, and do that. Because you start to plant these seeds, guys, then they will respond, all right? I was planting that seed of every time I sell a house, I sell 5 and didn't even know it, all right? It was showing up and they were keeping track and I wasn't even keeping track, all right? It's kind of cool. Don't forget the Michael Mayer event, all right, Tuesday. Continue reading The Richest Man in Babylon and Monk and Merchant. It's called The Legend of the Monk and the Merchant if you're looking for it. It's actually called The Legend of the Monk and the Merchant. Okay. And upcoming meeting dates, I have Tuesday on there, that's the Michael Mayer event. Be careful here because we move around days at this one because of pros availability. 10/21 is a Tuesday, all right? 11/6 is that's a Thursday. Okay, 11/6 is a Thursday here, and 11/17 is a Monday. So I told you I moved around on you. Okay, a couple other dates I want to throw out at you. On the 11/6 date, how many of you are incorporated? All right, anybody incorporate their own business? Okay, you're Jackson, PA, whatever. LLC, perfect. All right, Mark, I'm going to be doing a why you should incorporate seminar before the 100K club meeting on the 6th. Yep. Okay. And then why you're wondering why some people, Margaret has LLC behind her name. There's a reason why. All right. And I want to share with you those reasons. So be prepared and invite some friends who want to bring them. They don't have to be. They can leave after that, but we'll roll right into 100K afterward. All right.
Will you be doing that on the Tuesday that same week?
What's that?
Are you only doing it at this venue?
The 11/6, we're doing it at this venue, and we'll do it before, like 9:15, before the 10 o'clock session.
Are you doing the night session though too? Or?
Yeah, I'll be doing it all. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I'll be doing it that week. I'll be doing it before every one of those 100Ks. Yep.
So what time will it be?
6:15 before the 7. It'll be 45 minutes prior to the normal start time. And we'll get there. Okay, perfect. And then one other on 11/19 at one of those 2 hotels in Safety Harbor. I mean, in Oldsmar, either the Hampton Inn or the Hilton Garden Inn. I haven't heard back which one yet. 11/19, we're going to be hosting a bank-owned seminar. And when I say bank-owned, what it is some of our agents, and we're just going to open up to everybody. Some of our agents have been real inquisitive about. They feel a little uncomfortable dealing with a bank-owned property. And the reason is because the contract is not the typical contract, right? So I'm bringing in 2 people. We've got an agent in our office that does a ton of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac listings. And she's going to cover about 20 minutes, 25 minutes on, hey, look, let me talk to you from the listing side of these, all right? And just so you're familiar with what they have to deal with and here's some tips on how you might want to structure your offer that stands a better chance when we've got 18 offers coming in at once. I'm going to pay attention to the people who follow my instructions because it's a pain in the backside, right? So she's going to talk to you about how to structure your offer maybe, and also some of the tips from the other side of the curtain, if you will, all right, from the bank's thing.
Does she do the home path? Where you have to go online with the home path? And
Yep.
then a HubZoo thing.
Yep.
That is
She
like,
does some. She doesn't do HubZoo. We were trying to get somebody down for HubZoo, and
That's a problem.
I know. She's going to talk about
They put a
options,
freeze on
the
their
options
travel.
that affect her using this.
The guy from the HubZoo put a freeze on their guys' travel.
We try to bring somebody in from HubZoo to come talk to us, but it won't be HubZoo in particular, but it'll be auction type. So maybe have some Other than that, I'm also bringing in an attorney, David Rankin, who happens to be the lead attorney for GTAR. And he's going to come in and talk to us about some very common clauses that are in a lot of the bank-owned contracts
Yeah.
that you need to make your buyers aware of.
You have to really read it.
Yes. All right, and you don't need to interpret it because you're not an attorney, by the way, especially if you're a future home agent. If you're not a future home agent, do what you want. Okay, get your broker in trouble.
No,
I don't
but
care.
still.
But if you're a future, I am your broker. All right, don't get me in trouble. So, but you do, and you need to make them aware. And David's going to cover some of these things, even down to the difference in majority of our transfer from a different type of deed. Right? It's not, it's not a general warranty deed. It's a special warranty deed. What does that mean?
And they're charging the buyer 4%.
Absolutely.
And they don't say this in the listing,
Sure,
which is.
I know.
I
have to read
list
the
some of those properties, and us that list them, we have a real hard time following FAR, following MLS, following what the bank tells us to do in order to
Wow.
keep the paycheck. It's a nightmare for us.
Okay.
I'd be glad to show Home Search, which is what a lot of the Nation Star are going to.
Cool.
There's a plethora of Nation Star. I can go through the process. I can give you a sample of what they generate. Home Search generates the contract, and the nightmare it creates for us.
That's
So that
terrible.
you have that understanding,
That is
so that when
terrible.
you're dealing with bank-owned, you're not so upset with the agent. It's our hands are.
But you figure
tied.
in the MLS, you go by what's in the MLS. It
You
doesn't
can't.
say anything about any 4% fee to the buyer until you get in there, some small little print.
Right, we do the auction stuff. Yeah, so you need to be
Yeah.
aware. You just need to be aware. And that's experience will do that. And number one. Number two, we can complain about all we want, but the banks aren't going to change this.
No.
All right, so we need to learn to deal with the hand we're dealt.
Well, Homecast
Okay.
doesn't seem so bad now.
Okay. All right, but 11/19, write that down. That's on 11/19. It'll be one-time gig. Start about 9:30 in the morning, 9:30 to 11 or so. And David will be there to kind of come from a legal perspective to help you, at least be better informed of how you can present this to your buyers and reasons why they may want to consult with an attorney before they sign a bank-owned contract. You guys pretty much know the part of our contract and should, right? But it becomes real uncomfortable. As well, it should be a little uncomfortable when it's a different contract that you aren't familiar with, right? What does that mean? And so, not that we can cover every possible contract, but there are some very common things that a lot of bank-owned contracts have that you need to be aware of. Okay, so write that down. All right, and that should be really good.
And one of them is your buyer can choose to type of company, it'll just cost them more money.
Yeah.
And in my experience, encourage the buyer to choose the truck company.
Do encourage them to.
Yeah.
Please do, please do.
Because you got these mail away, you're dealing with a title company in Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
All right, it's always down there, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So, cool. We got our next dates. All right, it's time to go. Any other last questions I can answer before we head out? All right, Tuesday, Safety Harbor Spa, robes, pedicures, Michael Mayer, all in one shot. Can't get any better than that. All right, and if you guys want to copy the PowerPoint, this one's recorded. If you want to come back and see stuff we talked too fast, we need to go back and get it. Check us out, and we can get that information back to you. Cool? Awesome. Or any of the past classes. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Whenever they pulled my name up, that was internet.
Fierce Conversations. I'm going to look it up. It's in my notebook. Download it on my notebook for you.